See, the rain is nice, but I don't really like getting wet. What in the world? No, I went under the awning. It's still raining. Why is it still raining? I did what I was supposed to. It's not fair.
There's a word that was coined fairly recently called anemia, which means a nostalgic sense of longing for a past you yourself have never lived. One of my favorite things on the internet are people who create truly unique projects. They don't really copy anyone else, they bring something completely new to the table. And in my case, I'm especially interested if said endeavor is a little weird, a tad strange, a touch disturbing even. You know, the usual. And one of the most important people creating content in this sphere is the one and only, larger-than-life, Jack Stauber. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Choking Hazard, the only show on YouTube where we eat one single crumb from a Triscuit cracker. Oh, so you're one of the few who was unaware of the pure, unfiltered genius that is Jack Stauber? Well, allow me to enlighten you. This thing is so damn uncomfortable. Jesus Christ. Okay. Come on. Whatever, it's good enough. Jack's signature style is surreal, lo-fi, creepy animation and music that draws on a weird sense of childhood nostalgia. It's a smell that takes you back to a time when you were younger, but you don't actually recognize the smell. Most, if not all, of his songs and videos have a disturbing or scary undercurrent to them, and if you're not into that type of thing, you probably shouldn't be on this channel at all. Seriously, the door is right over there. It's the wooden thing with the knob. People online call this specific style of art weirdcore, which is not the name I would have chosen, but here we are. Jack is often credited as being the one to popularize this style of media online. At the time of my recording this, he has released 4 wildly different albums of original music under his own name, and has uploaded almost 200 insanity-inducing videos. I made a list of a bunch of Jack's songs and videos that I find particularly powerful, and tonight I'm going to show them to you and generally talk about them. We're going to have a fun journey getting traumatized together, and maybe we'll come out stronger on the other side. Or just, you know, still traumatized. There are links to every video and song I talk about down below in the depths of hell, so be sure to check those out. And yeah, let's jump into it. The first video on my list here is called Rain, one of the most popular videos Stauber has made, and one of the easiest to gain some overarching meaning or narrative from. A man with huge, expressive eyes wanders out into the rain, and then says the rain is nice, but he doesn't like getting wet. He moves under an overhang to get out of the downpour, yet somehow it's still raining on him. He calls out to no one, asking, why is it still raining? He did everything that he was supposed to do, yet the rain is still falling. Like most of Jack Stauber's videos, the music accompanying the video adds a lot of atmosphere and emotional importance. And in Rain, the music is a strange, simple melancholy. The video feels like the equivalent of a modern-day fable or parable, and really a lot of Jack's stuff is like this. By using surreal yet familiar and almost childlike scenarios, he's able to get his message across. And while I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know exactly what Jack intended his viewers to think when they saw his work, I can tell you what meaning I get from them. The world is often a cruel and unfair place, but most people want to try and believe that there's some sort of order and reason as to why or how things happen. Especially when you're younger and still curious and interested in everything. And then as you grow up, there are many times when you try your best and you do everything that you think you're supposed to do and still end up failing. This can apply on a more general level as well, when you do everything you can to try and feel happy, yet you don't feel any change. Feeling like no matter what you do, no matter how far you go, you always end up back at square one. It's an incredibly sad and pervasive feeling of uselessness or lack of control over your own life that is sad and just beats you down until you start to accept it. Library, in my opinion, is more disturbing than Rain, but it has a lot of the same undercurrents of sorrow and quiet despair. The video almost feels split into two sections, the first being a quick exchange that's meant to lull the viewer into a false sense of security before plunging them into the horrors that will ruin their lives ahead. One character asks another character who's lying in bed if they want to go to the library by any chance, and the character in the bed says no. All good, that's it, pack your bags, nothing more to see here. After the character is left alone, they roll over and bury their face in their pillow. Here we get a glimpse into their mind's eye, where a game show host taunts them for not being able to remember their mother's face. And from this we can assume that the mother is at least absent and probably dead. We watch as the character struggles harder and harder to fill in even a single feature, but nothing comes. Their mother is a hideous blob of flesh that laughs and taunts them, and the voices in the background say things along the lines of everything you do will pass away, nothing you create matters. But most importantly, that memory fades, and eventually you are unable to recall what you even lost. This gut-wrenching video touches on the fear of losing someone you love, and then feeling them gradually slip away from even your mind and your own memories. At some point you can't remember their voice or their face. Take pictures of people while you have them in your life. One more thing, and this is important. While there are technically more disturbing or messed up things that I'm going to talk about in this video, I think library might be the one that hits closest to home for people who have experienced loss of some kind in their lives. And this clip and subsequent discussion of it is incredibly deep-cutting and even possibly upsetting or triggering to people who have gone through similar hardship in their lives. So I just want to take a second and say, while it might not mean much, things do get easier. I feel for you, and other people in the comments, they feel for and care about you as well. As a matter of fact, a lot of the people who have been engaging with my channel here recently are some of the nicest people I've encountered in the entire internet. And if I can, I want to cultivate that because I think that's really, really cool. Plus, y'all are really funny too, so it's amazing. Point being, this is just the internet, but we're here for you. And now to lighten the mood, I want you to know that oh shit, spelled backwards, is this hoe. So there's that. There was a comment under the video called Help, where someone says that Jack Stauber makes them feel emotions they didn't know existed, and I thought that was a pretty accurate description of his entire body of work. It hits so incredibly hard, and you almost don't even know why. The short film can be interpreted a bunch of different ways, but let me explain it to you first. A guy we'll call Trisket is stuck underneath a rock. He doesn't seem to be in pain, but it's implied that he might have always been this way. You know, stuck beneath a rock. Another guy shows up and he's wearing a snazzy business suit, so we'll call him Lord Business. Anyways, Will Ferrell shows up and says Trisket needs help, and then he just walks away without saying anything else. Trisket starts half-heartedly calling for assistance, and another random dude shows up. This guy has blue hair, so we're gonna call him Ninja. Ninja asininely asks Trisket if he's asking for help. Trisket confirms that yes, he was asking for help, and then Ninja has the brilliance to ask, "Do you want help?" Hello, I am your friendly neighborhood bank teller, here to work accounts and such. This is a stick-up! Please, wait, don't! Help! I've been shot, and I'm bleeding out on the cold, hard floor of this bank. Hello, are you asking for help? Yes, that's what I was just doing. But do you want help? What the fuck do you think "please help me, I'm bleeding out" is supposed to be? What else can I possibly mean by "I need help" other than I need help? Maybe I'm actually asking God to put me out of my misery so I don't have to deal with idiots. Dude, that's not nice. What? You know, questioning my intelligence like that. I have feelings too, and holy shit, he died. Anyways, Trisket doesn't confirm that he wants help quick enough for Ninja, and so Ninja takes this as a perfect opportunity to tell Trisket that he doesn't actually want help at all. Trisket then thanks him for this revelation, and is left still under a rock as Ninja saunters away like the smug bastard he is.
Is there a way I can help? I need help. Do you want help? What? You don't want help. I don't? No. Alright, well, thank you. You're welcome. Goodbye. Bye.
To me, this short film is about a person who is born with an extreme disadvantage but doesn't know any better. They've never known anything different. So people around them like to condescendingly explain their problems to them and psychoanalyze them and treat them as subhumans incapable of making decisions for themselves or understanding the world around them. But no one ever actually tries to help. They just take advantage of vulnerabilities to feel better about themselves. And then the person with the disadvantage, whatever it might be, does legitimately try to ask for help. And then people like tell them that they're just complaining or that they don't really want help or that it's not as bad as, you know what I'm getting at. And they're left stuck under a rock. Nerpo, Nerpo, fa la 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 Nerpo, Nerpo, ha 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 ha. He eats the coins you drop between the cushions of your couch, converts them into dopamine inside of his mouth. Nerpo I always thought was one of Jack's most fun and lighthearted videos, mainly because the music and animation aren't complete nightmare fuel. And I originally placed it here on the list as an intended break from all of the bleakness that came before and the bleakness that's going to come after. But then I did a little bit of research. The song describes an oddball little creature that eats the coins you drop between the cushions of your couch and speaks of things that adults can't remember and children do not have the words to describe. One of my absolute favorite artists in the horror space online, the one and only Trevor Henderson, actually made his own version of the creature Nerpo, who whispers things to people that make them go down the sewer slide. And Jack supposedly confirmed that that's accurate lore for the creature on Twitter. So there's that. So the conclusion that we draw from this is that Nerpo is a sadistic fuck that goes around forcing people to off themselves, and I put this here as the lighthearted bit in the video. Okay, on to the next one.
In his mouth, he says amazing things, but only whispers to the dead.
The concept of view feels like a Twilight Zone episode. A humanoid figure stands in a field and ponders nature. It says the world around them is beautiful, and it reminds them of being young and healthy. It even says the natural landscape reminds them of the inherent goodness of man. It ends by saying this moment cannot be recreated, and it must be lived through. Now, all of that is beautiful sentiment, but the true twist of the story, or the irony here, is the humanoid figure's voice and general appearance. He sounds like an automaton or some digital creation. Is the view itself digital? Is the short a meta look at how Jack brings these characters to life? Or is it a strange commentary on humans eroding the natural world for the sake of greed, becoming almost like robots themselves with one singular purpose? Who can say except Mr. Stauber himself? View is a strange short because I believe it's mostly intended to be happy. It speaks about living in the present, seizing each day, and appreciating each and every moment of your life. And yet, the context clues and the background music turn it into something disquieting and strange. The opposite side of living in the present is explored in the next short I want to talk about, The End. Very ominous title. Up until this point, a lot of what I've chosen to analyze has been more short films than anything else. But Jack Stauber is primarily known for creating strange, evocative music videos to accompany his lo-fi, weirdcore music and nightmarish, surreal, and often unintelligible lyrics. Here we get our first taste of that with The End. An incredibly sad song that at its core is about fear. The fear of a sudden or gradual ending of everything that you have ever known. He croons softly over the sound of wailing that there is no happy end. It is only just the end. The lyrics downplay this idea of just the end. It's not only unhappy, it's also quiet and small. Using phrasing like only just the end, Jack reiterates that there is nothing more after the curtain falls. Closure is an illusion, and while there may be happy later, happy now, and happy then, there is no happy end. Along with these delightful lyrics, we see images of babies floating through an endless void, lots of movie fading out sequences that involve, the stereotypical words, the end, a strange creature that looks like a wilting flower that speaks to the viewer while the song is going on, and a lot of religious imagery as well. The flower creature says, "Ease is comfort, rest is comfort, both born from effort. Nothing is just nothing." And that just drives home this message of the futility and mindless drudgery of the universe that we exist inside of. And I kind of just want to stop there and go on to something else, but really quick, I just had a thought. You could also interpret nothing is just nothing that the flower says as something positive. Nothing is just nothing. You can find deeper meaning in the world around you, even if there isn't necessarily one set in stone, one that serves you and gives you peace of mind. Nothing is just nothing. Let's move on. This next one's called Hey Mom. Another thing Jack does really, really well is comedy. Admittedly, fairly dark comedy, but that's my favorite kind, so it works very well. This skit is really short and would lose a lot of its potency if I tried to explain it to you. So I highly recommend you just watch it. Again, links are in hell down below us. Same goes for everything I have and will talk about in this video, but with this one, there's not really all that much I can add to it. I just really like it. Before moving on, I will say that I think the point in this one, if you can even call it that, is that people get stuck in patterns or cycles that are self-destructive and do way more harm than good. And when that happens, it's good to recognize it so you can overcome it or break the cycle. Often the pattern itself will be illogical and you might need outside assistance to realize it. I guess the point being, don't be closed off to the idea that the way that you view the world around you or your relationship to the world around you might be inaccurate or just plain wrong. The next three creations I want to talk about are more songs than videos, but two of them do have accompanying music videos, so it still all works together. This type of thing is how I originally found out about this guy, and to be honest, it's some of the coolest stuff on the entire internet. Also, and this doesn't really matter all that much, but my pronunciation of Jack Stauber comes from one of his songs where he refers to himself, and I've seen people pronounce his name a lot of different ways online. Personally, I still go with just Jack Stauber, but if I'm mispronouncing it, apologies. Regardless, let's talk about some songs. First, we have Buttercup, which you may have heard even if you haven't ever heard of Jack before. The chorus of the song got big on TikTok and Instagram like years after it was released, and now you can hear it in the background of hundreds of thousands of videos online. Funnily enough, this is the only thing on this list that doesn't have any visuals created by Jack Stauber, but that might be because this fan-made music video already exists and already has hundreds of millions of views. When I first heard Buttercup, I thought that the lyrics were mostly nonsense, but then I stumbled across this quote from Jack himself. "I get playful with the words, but they're always chosen very carefully. They all make perfect sense, and I wouldn't sing something if it didn't." This specific song is one of the greatest examples of one of Jack's many talents. The ability to give some of the most complex and indecipherable vocal performances of all time. Like seriously, 80% of this song, it's impossible to understand what he's saying without the lyrics right in front of you. But the vocals themselves are so incredibly varied and cool. It's just so unique. And he can even replicate it all live too. It's not any sort of studio vocal manipulation or pitch shifting. He can just get his voice to do that. A lot of people on the internet refer to his style of singing as singing in cursive or singing aesthetically, and I just gotta say, yes, that description fits perfectly. Despite Jack's claim that the song has intended meaning, I'm mostly stumped on this one. He talks specifically about electrifying his heart, so that could make it a love song. I really don't know. Electrify my golden tooth because I'm locked up in the button. Some connotations later in the song could lead you to believe it's about unrequited love. Honestly, I have no idea, and I just love the way the song sounds. Next is Baby Hotline, which was my favorite Jack Stauber song and music video for a very long time. The song follows the story of a woman who hoards quarters to use in a payphone so she can call a suicide hotline. They put her on hold, and she contemplates and then commits over the course of the song, most likely overdosing with pills. The music video is eerie and evocative, with a ton of suggestive images and animations all blending together to create this perfect picture of a person experiencing mania leading up to the act itself. The music video only uses like 40 seconds of the song though, so if you haven't heard the full version yet, I highly recommend it. Actually, while I'm saying this, all the extended versions of his songs are incredible. There is so much going on in every single one of them. Interestingly enough, this song also got a lot more popular because of TikTok, Instagram, and social media services, which I think it's pretty cool. Most recently, I've been seeing Dinner Is Not Over getting a lot of traction, which has been really fun to watch. That's another favorite of mine, and maybe I'll talk about it in a future video. But moving on. This is the last song I'm going to talk about in this video. But if this video gets to 1,000 likes, I'll make a follow-up going over some more of Jack's work. He's one of my favorite online creators, and I could probably talk about his work for hours. I also still have stuff like Opal to go over, so yeah, there's lots more ground to cover if you guys are interested. New Normal is my current favorite song and video by Jack. This was released relatively recently, and unlike a lot of his other work, it doesn't bury the more disturbing or difficult concepts underneath fun songs or quirky animation. Everything about New Normal is bleak and terrifying. And the video has this effect where the animation starts to distort and like glitch out of existence. It's really cool. The visuals overwhelm the senses with jarring and terrifying images of people being taken to the sky, of strange creatures made of flesh, of the terrifying glint of yesterday's smile, and of the sun rising on a desolate and empty world of horrors. This is the one song that I want to read the full lyrics with you. Sunrise, it's time. Step out into the new normal. Embrace the day with your new shape. Goodbye to those who cannot join us. Their voices are still heard in every word that we say. And as we blend into new normal, familiar path, different lanes. And in the background he says, I'll miss you. You've donned yesterday's smile. Decorate your new face. This song was released during the height of the pandemic, so it's likely that it was made at least partially with all of the stuff going on in the world in mind. But I personally think that the song is also more universal than that. It's about loss, the heavy toll that the world extracts from you each and every day. It's about change and the fear of change, the confusion of change that you're not even totally aware of, change that affects you, change that becomes you. Decorate your new face. It's about guilt and remorse. It's sad, but most importantly, it's about continuing forward despite the path ahead being strange. The road you walk is unknown, and yet the path feels familiar, which actually describes most of Jack's work. A nostalgic sense of longing that describes a past you yourself have not lived. Anemia. In my opinion, Jack Stauber is one of the most interesting and creative artists of the last decade. His albums, videos, and projected personality will live on. Though, as we've learned today, all will eventually pass away, it's safe to assume that Mr. Stauber's work will far outlive him. The universal messages and surreal way of delivering these messages will carve his name into the rock of eternity. We are Team Rocket.
Who is Jack Stauber? It's this guy that he makes one of those funny music videos that are trying to think that he makes VHS videos from the 80s or 90s or whatever. Because Jack Stauber, lives in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm not gonna say his full address, but he lives in Pennsylvania. So yeah, of course.
When you were a kid, did you ever have strange dreams or nightmares that would affect you in a really powerful way, but when you woke up, the memories would vanish? Like a vampire in the sun, all that would be left is unpleasant residue of the terrors you had witnessed. Sometimes perhaps it was even difficult to determine whether or not you were really dreaming at all. Maybe the dreams were real, only your brain was blocking them out to protect you from remembering. Now imagine for a moment that there was an artist who could tap into your mind and show you what you had forgotten. Well, that artist is real, and his name is Jack Stauber. Hello everyone, welcome back to Please Hug Me, I'm Scared, the only show on YouTube where we have group therapy sessions after watching horror movies. If you are one of the few people unaware of who Jack Stauber is, let me bring you up to speed. Jack Stauber is a musician and internet creator who's most well known for his surreal music videos and odd animations that will either make you laugh or make you not be able to sleep at night. So a fun time for everyone involved, kind of like Reddit 50-50. If you're new to the channel, this is actually the second video I've made about Jack Stauber, so go watch that one first. Once again, I've made a list of a bunch of Jack's songs and videos that I think are some of the coolest things that you can watch on the entire internet, and I'm going to show them to you and info dump on you for the next 20 odd minutes. So let's get traumatized together and hopefully come out stronger on the other side. Or, you know, still traumatized. Every song and video I discuss will be linked below. Finally, near the end of the video, I have a little surprise for you. Think of it as a thank you for all of the love that you drenched my last video with. You seem to have inflated my already considerable ego beyond any hope of repair, so thank you for that. But I'm gonna save the surprise till the end. For now, let's talk about work. The list starts off fairly easy with a short video about a guy who works at Job Incorporated. Creative title. Look at this guy. He's just a little guy. Just a calm, cool, and collected guy who knows about business, numbers, and working. Just kidding, he can't focus on anything. I interpret this video as possibly being about ADHD, or maybe just the difficulty of paying attention to a job that you truly despise. The main guy's just sitting there making funny little noises. Again, just being a silly little guy. When suddenly his boss walks up and asks him to please shut the hell up. The boss then points out that the guy's computer isn't even plugged in and asks him to get back to work. As soon as the boss is gone, the guy starts stimming again, making little noises, and this is where the video starts to change. Nothing too crazy yet, though. I thought I'd start us all off with something easy. Our perspective shifts, and we get to hear what the guy is hearing while he's making the sounds. His voice becomes a synth, then a drum kit, and then finally he's singing a whole damn song about plugging in his computer. It's beautiful and glorious, and he starts dancing and clapping, and at this point I'm also dancing and clapping along. But then his boss comes back over, and the guy says,
Plug in my computer.
Robert.
Oh, sweet cinnamon.
What's hilarious about that is the video says it has a PG rating. So it sounds like the guy was about to say, oh shit, and then he censored himself, which could imply that he's aware that he's living within a video. Another way to look at this skit is how a lot of people are discouraged from following their interests or reaching their true potential because someone else doesn't see or understand the vision. You can go back to the very first clips on Jack's channel and find videos of him playing live music, just his voice and an acoustic guitar. The few people watching don't really engage at all. And if I'm not mistaken, some people even laughed at him. So this skit could possibly be based on Jack's own experience with people not seeing the full vision at first. Let me just say though, anything that I say or imply in any of my videos really is just speculation, and it's just my opinion. I just fixate on things and want to talk about them, and that's what this video and most of my videos are. So if you have any other interpretations of the videos I'm discussing, please keep them to yourself because I am always right. Just kidding, please share them. I'd love to read them. The next video is about why you can never trust pumpkins, especially the ones who can make the boards go rat-tat-tat. The pumpkin song is one of the first of Jack Stauber's creations that truly bothered me. And I've always felt this way about this specific concept. That concept being casual malice, which always feels incredibly evil when it's depicted in any sort of media. The video is animated with a 1930s rubber hose art style. You know, black and white, characters with Pac-Mans for eyes and tubes for arms and legs. A boy peers into a very shady looking house and is encouraged to enter by a grinning jack-o'-lantern. It would be nice if characters in horror stories weren't complete fools, but no, see a creepy, dilapidated house inhabited by a sentient talking pumpkin, and we're just waltzing right in. As he enters, the door slams shut behind him, but he doesn't seem to care. He just kind of matches the pumpkin's energy, and they're just standing there and smiling, and then they start dancing together, and it's honestly kind of wholesome. Then the pumpkin begins to sing, telling the boy about a bunch of wonderful things he can do, which start pretty tame, but suddenly take a dark turn. The music and Jack's voice work incredibly well together as the pumpkin transforms into something evil without missing a beat. Not a lot of media actually bothers me that much, and to be honest, this is pretty tame for a Jack Stauber video, but for some reason casual acts of torture and malice, even if it's something small, when done to someone that's innocent or unsuspecting, it really fucks with my head. Like, it doesn't just bother me, it also makes me sad. It looks positive and then switches up on me. Not only that, but look at this pumpkin. Does this freak look like he's going to apologize for his actions? For his crimes against humanity? No. He looks happy as a bumblebee. Prepare yourself for the lamest joke I've ever made. I'm going to squash this squash.
And here I am with a pumpkin, very innocent and normal, because y'all know what us guys be doing with pumpkins, and oh wait, what's this? Oh, huh.
Are you a fan of the Great British Baking Show? Do you enjoy watching people cook food? Huh? You like that? Well, get ready for Cooking with Abigail. The clay can walk, the figs can talk, and young girls can be exploited for cash. You know, the problem with this video is it gets stuck in my head really easily. Does anyone else have this problem? Like, it gets stuck in your head like an earworm and you can't stop singing or saying said thing?
We are gathered here today to mourn the passing of our good friend and loyal employee.
Cooking with Abigail, having such
What
fun.
are you doing? What the hell was that? We're in the middle of a
Sorry.
funeral. They spent their whole life
Mystery and
serving this company.
This is another case of a Jack Stauber video with really upbeat and catchy music, but a storyline that's really messed up and just gets darker and darker the more you think about it. Abigail is a young girl who hosts a show called Cooking with Abigail, where colorful dinners are made. She has real passion for what she's doing, but we see a strange man looking at her through a window. A talking fig begins to tell her that her dreams to cook are tainted by people who are taking advantage of her aspirations. Her viewers are all creeps, and the money that slides under the door each week is not for what she thinks it is. The main song is replayed, only this time she seems to have lost the joy in her work. She even seems to purposefully screw up her art, because what does it matter if her only purpose was to be objectified this whole time? I think it's interesting how ignorance really is bliss sometimes. Her entire perception changes, and she can't do what she loves anymore without feeling cheated or betrayed. It's incredibly sad. The way the kitchen items talk to each other feels like a fairly accurate representation of the more evil side of Hollywood. How people try to gloss over things or feed your ego so they can control you better. And how the fig character telling the truth got him in trouble, even ostracized. I think it's possible the fig and the other sentient foods are the girl's internal thoughts as she struggles to try and uncover the truth and whether she even wants to know the truth. If you look closely in the background here, you can see hands making a signal. I wonder if the crossed fingers could be referencing lying or manipulating someone, or if they're just intended to be fingers crossed for good luck or whatever. I don't know, it's just interesting. Moving on. Holy Toledo, is that Benny Worm? So he fits in the palm of my hand, yet he does this.
It's Benny Worm.
Make up your mind, Jack. I put this here as a break from the darker stuff, similar to my intention with Nerpo in the last video. Only this time there are no terrifying implications whatsoever. In fact, this one's kind of adorable. We get to meet infamous 6-year-old Benny Worm.
Hold on a second, is that Benny Worm?
Oh, yeah.
Holy smokes.
It's Benny Worm.
Who teaches us that being a good friend means taking the time to understand. And that's about it, for real. The main reason this is even here is because a lot of people ended up requesting it on my last video, which reminds me to say, hey. I felt like I was about to flirt with the camera. Okay, let's try that again. Hey, if you have any other videos or songs of Jack's, or really any other artists on YouTube or otherwise that you'd like to see me do commentary on, let me know down below. If a bunch of people request something, I'll probably end up doing it. To me, Benny Worm is just kind of funny. But if I were to look further, I'd say it was about the innocence and whimsy of childhood, and the trusting or caring nature that often comes along with that until it's taken away. The next video I want to talk about is super weird. It might also feature one of Jack's most disturbing art styles, aside from maybe however he made New Normal. Now and Then is a more abstract video than one with a clear storyline, but if I were to take a wild guess at meaning, I'd say it's about becoming your own person. This guy also kind of looks like an Over the Garden Wall character if you squint just right. A thin, pale man slowly walks across a yellow void and finds another creature exactly like him dead on the ground. He kneels down and begins cutting the carcass open as if he's performing an autopsy. As he does so, text appears reversed on the screen in this almost meta moment where someone or something, or maybe even us on the other side of the screen, are supposed to be talking directly to the character with the knife. The reversed words tell him to pack lightly. The man then turns the knife around on himself and cuts his own chest open. Instead of actually showing this, Jack makes the decision to use sound and abstract images to depict the pain. And by doing so, he makes the whole thing that much more visceral. I wish more horror movies did this. The idea of using the design of your scenes to actually force your audience to feel the pain of the protagonist instead of just looking on in terror at something they are removed from is brilliant. We get to see these characters from the inside, and both of their, chest cavities look like shelves instead of organs and whatnot. The carcass on the floor is filled with knickknacks, doodads, and assorted bric-a-brac, while the main guy's chest cavity is empty. He starts grabbing things from the carcass and assimilating them into himself. He specifically takes a heart and a clock, and as he does so, this strange cloud of swirling nothingness appears in his body. He says the word anxious, not really as a question, but more as a realization of his state of being. Then the reversed words appear on screen again, this time reading, "You're excited." I think the voices are trying to tell him that anxiousness is just excitement. He responds,
Yeah, I like that.
but as you can see, his heart doesn't appear to be in it. At this point, he's just telling the voices what they want to hear. He slowly walks away from the body, and the scene ends. Now, I had two main interpretations while watching this, and they both kind of function in similar ways. People learn behavior. They will create a sense of identity using parts from other things, like people, ideas, characters, cultures, places, whatever. And while a sense of self and identity is incredibly important for pretty much any person, most of the time it's a paradox of copying the people you hang out with and the things that you see normalized. In another sense, people change all the time. And when you do, you metaphorically kill your old self and become new. What parts of the old you do you retain? What lives on within you? And what happens when you realize your behavior patterns are a danger to yourself or to others? When the anxiousness is mistaken for excitement, what then? I also had the beginnings of an idea that the video could also be about like mortality and the life cycle, and that it was a lot more straightforward than what I was putting on it, but who knows? Let's continue. Goldie, to me, is an example of an artist creating something for a specific feel more than anything else. A lot of Stauber's work seems like there's a clear story being told, but this video in particular, at its core, is about loss, memory, and time slipping by. We as an audience are given very little concrete information about any of the characters or what's going on, but the point is still conveyed. There are a lot of ways you could interpret what you're shown, so let me give you an example. We see an old man sitting on a porch singing a song as he looks at dusty trophies and seems to reminisce about years gone by. His daughter breaks his reverie and tells him dinner is ready, and he says,
"Oh, dope."
He looks around and sees some kids playing in the yard underneath a tree. He finishes his song, and the video ends. The word Goldie is seen carved into the rocking chair and heard in the song. Is Goldie his wife who passed? Is Goldie his daughter growing up? Were the children in the yard real, or were they just figments of his imagination? What is the man mourning? The loss of childhood or a literal death? We aren't given enough information to draw any conclusions, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. The story is about coming to terms with the passing of time. As a side note, this video has a really calming vibe to it. The pacing is slow, and we really get time to ponder exactly what's going on. Plus, we get to listen to this beautiful song.
Take up my storage, it's all yourage. Goldie, Goldie, Goldie-o.
Now let's talk about the exact opposite of Goldie. This one is nuts, and people know it. There have been so many reimagined versions of Bumblebees are out that for all I know, you didn't even know it was Jack Stauber until just now. But this thinly veiled story about child abuse and emotional instability is terrifying and incredibly sad. Quick warning, this covers a lot of topics, including physical and sexual abuse, so just be prepared for that. What makes it even worse is it's left very, very open, so you have like room to extrapolate further, and it just gets worse and worse and worse if you keep thinking about it. So here's the story. A little girl and a person who is likely her father are walking through their house, laughing. The girl accidentally knocks over a vase, and her father's entire demeanor changes like that as his face distorts and turns bright red. He curses at her and tells her to get out of the house. She walks outside singing about flowers and bumblebees as the music turns dissonant and sharp. Along with the music, we see bees stinging the girl as she cries out in pain. It's also pretty easy to miss, but right at the start of the video, there's like one frame where we can see the girl outside with the sting marks and see her father standing directly behind her. There are a lot of interpretations and implications here, but some obvious conclusions are that the father has anger issues and takes them out on his child. It's likely that bees aren't hurting her at all, it's him, which is also a bit of commentary on disassociation. The girl remembers the terrible pain being inflicted on her as bee stings. He's conditioning her to be meek and fearful so he can control her better, and he neglects his legal obligation as a parent by kicking her out. You know, because according to the law, a parent has to provide for the maintenance, protection, and education of his or her child, which includes food, clothing, and all-important shelter. The bees might be metaphorical, and if they are, they could represent the father hitting his kid. Some comments under the video mentioned that it looks like the father's fly is down, which I personally don't see that. However, I do think implications in that direction are very present in this video, and a lot of people have found some sense of comfort's not the right word, but relatability in that interpretation, so I thought I would include it or at least reference it. Some of Jack's most well-known creations are the songs and music videos that he's created to accompany his multiple full-length albums, which you can buy on Bandcamp to support him. And if I'm not mistaken, they're all completely independent, self-recorded, self-published. It's super cool. Also, while on that topic, he's active on Patreon. So yeah, if you enjoy his stuff, let's, make sure that he has the means to keep on making these videos for years to come. The next few projects of his that I'm going to talk about were released more as songs than as short films that sometimes had music accompanying them. Songs like Buttercup and Oklahoma were partially how I originally found Jack in the first place, and it's very possible that even if you've never heard of him before, you may have heard parts of these audios on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, just around the internet. Do you like peppermints? Let's start easy with one of Jack's most fun and relatively normal songs, with the only typical Stauberism being the extreme low fidelity. We get to hear a lighthearted conversation between Jack and a girl named Lexi about the spice content of a peppermint. The undertone of the song is kind of flirty. I don't know, just kind of makes me happy to listen to it. It's almost as if they sound as though they're laughing and smiling while they're singing. It's adorable. The song isn't really about peppermints. It feels like it's about a common relationship dynamic where you don't really know what it is that you're looking for. At the end, Jack asks if he's sleeping on the couch, and Lexi replies, While we're on the topic of peppermint, it's one of 2 songs Jack made that have very, very similar vibes. And now we're going to talk about the other one, Doctor. This one is featuring a girl named Sarah who says she's sick. Jack says he's not a doctor, but that he can help her by prescribing her love and kisses. His diagnosis is that no one has been treating her well. The twist comes when he asks her if she's going to be okay on her own now, and she replies, I think I'm sick again, implying that this is going to become a behavior pattern. Then she does this.
I'm sick again.
A completely innocent noise. I give it 0 out of 10 horns. The whole song feels like an exploration of codependency, but admittedly it's super tame, and I think it's supposed to be more lighthearted than anything else. Both Doctor and Peppermint are void of any kind of disturbing imagery, and the videos make up for it by looking and sounding like infomercials or ads made half a decade ago. These 2 videos have a warm and inviting feeling to them. They're almost wholesome. I don't know, man. I guess I'm just trying to say that these songs are a nice change of pace compared to a lot of the other stuff we're going to be discussing tonight, and the stuff we have already discussed. Anyways, on to the next song, which made me laugh and then uncontrollably cry. Imagine for a moment a world where you were born with a rare and sad disease, where you grow a ham where your head should be. That's the premise of this song. And I know right about now you might be thinking, Daniel, there's surely no way I heard you correctly. Did you say a ham? Yes. Yes, I did. Look at this poor girl. Look at this incredible design. This thing is an eye. One might wonder how someone with literal pork for a face is even remotely human. But Hamantha was familiar with René Descartes and often was heard saying, I think, therefore I ham. The Ballad of Hamantha is an absurd tragedy about a girl who was different, and her struggles as she attempts to become a famous star and find some kind of cure.
Get it? Another ham pun?
For her condition. The song describes her as a cutie pie with flowing hair and a lovely eye. She is beautiful to many, but her insecurities have stopped her from loving herself. Plus, it's implied that she's having a lot of trouble at school. And then, instead of trying any way to help, her dad goes outside, curses at God, and then shoots a gun into the clouds. This is foreshadowing, so keep it in mind. The song describes Hamantha's dreams as being in the clouds or in the sky, and thus her father is metaphorically killing her dreams. Suddenly, a doctor calls up Hamantha to tell her that he's discovered a cure. All she needs to do is come into the office, and they're going to try it out on her. She runs outside, and with happy tears in her eyes, she races towards the doctor's office. The sheer joy and excitement is palpable, but now the music starts to give us listeners clues that all is not well. It begins to rain as she runs, but something falls that's different than the raindrops and different than the tears. The bullet her father shot at the sky falls down from the heavens and fucking kills her. What? Let that sink in. We cut to the doctor's office sometime later after operations were performed on the corpse of Hamantha. The universe this song takes place in has a strange custom of giving a cooked ham to families going through loss, but it seems they accidentally eat poor Hamantha. Her father killed her dreams, then killed her, and the world took and ate of her flesh while she suffered. So greedy we wanted more. Hamantha's soul soars into space as her tragic story burns like wildfire throughout the land. She becomes a literal and metaphorical star and achieves her dreams in death. And now if you look up at the sky just right, you too might see Hamantha looking back down at you. After all this, I am left with many questions, but one very important one. Why the fuck would they name her Hamantha? Like, it's making me crazy. Did they think they were helping her at all with that little stunt of theirs?
I am so sorry, sir, but your daughter, she was born with hemophilia.
Let's name her Mary.
Okay, that seems like a pretty normal name.
Bloody Mary.
God damn it.
Finally, let's talk about the masterpiece of a song that is Oklahoma. You might notice right at the beginning that Jack references Star Trek, only instead of set the phasers to stun, it's set the phasers to rot. At the beginning, the song feels like a conversation between two friends, sharing experiences and mutually trauma dumping on each other, but they both seem unable to feel much empathy for the other person. Truly the perfect dynamic of invalidation. He asks what has you distraught, and then says that whatever you're worried about is nothing, and you're just looking for attention, negative attention. The song is set at a party for some reason, and the music has like a sad dance vibe to it. Anyone want to go to a liminal space and slow dance to Jack Stauber with me, please? I'm begging. As the song continues, though, my initial interpretation starts to shift. One asks the other to take their clothes off and then take a picture, which could just symbolize vulnerability, but more likely you're supposed to take it literally. And if you were to take it literally, then it twists the already toxic dynamic of their relationship because now one is taking direct advantage of the other. Getting a gray hair for every scare you share might reference the weight or burden being passed over by the person doing the sharing. Gray hairs are often associated with stress, but all of my hair is falling out, so can you tell me what that means, please? The next line is one of the most evocative and ominous in Jack's entire discography. Those weren't meant to bend. The line makes me think of someone bending their limb backwards in a way that's not natural, but I believe it means someone bending over backwards for their friend. The friendship isn't seen as something easy or sustainable, it's seen as something transactional. One person sacrificing everything for the other, and the other being completely unsympathetic. The song might as well be called Thesis on Why Boundaries Are Important. There are a lot of different ways to look at this song, but my main takeaway is go to therapy.
Just a small coffee, please.
Small coffee, that'll be $1.29.
Do you take tooth?
Yes, we do.
Anything under your pillow this morning?
Thank you.
Hey y'all, if you didn't know, I made a new account for my music and all of my previous releases are moving, link in the description. If you could dig deep into the recesses of your mind and pull out all of the strange oddities and idiosyncrasies that make you to the forefront, would you be able to distill it down to a few minutes of time and a silly animation or a song? Is it possible to evoke such a range of emotion through such an absurd vessel? Or perhaps that vessel was necessary for you to absorb the message at all. Come a little closer and let me tell you about nonsense. A little nonsense now and then is relished by the wisest men. Jack Stauber's work has won the hearts of millions and stumped the minds of all who attempt to unravel his enigmas. All minds, of course, except mine. And as we return to the quirky characters, mind-bending visuals, trippy stop motion, and weird, surreal music, for the third time, I find my brain grows ever more tortured as I toil away, clawing for meaning where often little can be found. Welcome back to How Not to Start a Cult, the only show on YouTube where we definitely, positively, absolutely don't start a cult. If you're watching this, you're at least a little insane for traveling through my first two videos and still choosing to end up here, but that's okay. I kind of think anyone who follows me is a little insane. Since I started covering Stauber's material, there have been a lot of requests for videos and skits I didn't cover previously, and I have been taking notes in my handy-dandy alligator skin notebook. So now we have a whole bunch more Jack Stauber songs and videos to tantalize our senses and make us question reality. And at the end of the video, I have a super huge surprise. Something you have to see to believe. It's my Have you ever felt like a burden to those around you? Like if you can't contribute something, your presence is better off somewhere else? In every video up to this point, I've always tried to start us off with videos and lyrics that were easy to digest with fairly simple meaning. But not this time. We're going in off the deep end with Dead Weight. This is one of my favorite music videos Jack Stauber has ever made. From the distorted animations flashing with the beat, to his oddly proportioned body floating through a void of nothingness. We open on a television set in a room filled with oversized keyboards, then watch as Jack changes the channel. This methodical TV viewing is incredibly important to the themes of the song, as Jack's body hovers and inserts itself into different scenes from shows and movies. It's almost voyeuristic as he watches on and imagines himself in these slice-of-life situations. The people on screen, however, have no depth to them. Their faces are leering masks or smiling plastic, and we see Jack spiral as the thumping synth warmly envelops the listener and drags them downwards. As always, all of my interpretations are just my opinion, but these lyrics seem to paint a fairly clear picture to me. The writer is watching all these experiences unfold on screen, and said experiences are both normalized and romanticized, but he is just not capable of experiencing those things. Having friends, having a partner, just going out, what the hell can he do to fill the pages, meet the strangers, kiss the girl, and take in the world around him? These concepts are so important to him, yet he just can't. Why? This is the irony of being a reserved or introverted person who still longs for connection. I am a person like this, so it resonates with me. I very clearly remember watching Stranger Things when I was like 15 and crying because I wanted what these fictional characters had. I wanted to go explore, I wanted friends to do it with, I wanted to fall in love. I wanted all these things that I would look around and see other kids my age having, and it felt like I was being left behind. But it's not just that, and this is where it gets significantly darker. Anxiety, numbing depression, and a feeling of worthlessness that really can't be defined. This concoction combined creates a paralyzing immobility, and then you are nothing but dead weight. On top of that, for me specifically, connection and affection is very intense and personal. I can't really focus on more than a few people at a time, and that feeling of dead weight returns when it feels like you're the only one who's wired that way. Everyone else gets different needs met by dozens of different people and experiences, and they grow outward, where I grow inward. More generally, the song is about fear. That character that appears in his stomach is the sick feeling of butterfly anxiousness that strikes even the strongest down with the paralysis of dead weight. It's guilt and societal pressure to do these romanticized things in a certain amount of time. Otherwise, you missed out and you can never get it back. Things immediately got super depressing, so let's move on to something a little bit more lighthearted. Here's a little ditty about panic attacks and selling your soul to the eternal gods of consumption, where the only full sentence Jack can be heard saying is, "I can't seem to breathe or feel anything." A fast-paced and confusing track with a bunch of typical Stauberisms, 80s and 90s advertisement graphics, alien vocal stylings, and a ringing phone that calls no one. Basically, we viewers get assaulted by ads for products as Jack tries desperately to say he can't breathe, but keeps getting cut off. The ads are for products such as Tooth Hammer and Eye Pain. Get eye pain for your home today, and we'll throw in a fantastic arrangement of Leave Your House. The most important moment of the song comes. Comes. It arrives as a menu list that simply reads, "Never let yourself feel bad." We can see Jack smoking a pipe at the same time. And this ties into a new theme of Jack's that I didn't really cover in any of my previous analysis videos, that theme being addiction. Addiction. In fact, we're going to be learning a lot about addiction in another video hilariously entitled Hope, so we have that to look forward to. We are being sold the concept of escapism and ignoring your problems by forgetting them and training your brain to self-medicate through distraction. As you do so, it slowly becomes evident that you're filling the hole with an assorted consortium of companies and products and brands that are all trying to sell you an easy fix for problems that you'd rather avoid. Eventually, Jack is literally ripping himself apart to try to feel something, and nothing is working because he's numbed himself so much that he's just kind of broken. Oh well, maybe calling 911 will help.
Call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.
We've got to talk about this, babe. It's becoming a serious problem. Stop. 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 Stop! Why'd you leave her, man? She seemed so good for you. Was there more going on? Yeah, you should have seen her lick her envelopes. Before we go any further, can we take a minute to appreciate just how underrated Jack Stauber really is? Like, it's some delicious pop food. It should be on the radio. And the vibes of these videos are so addictive and unique. It's as though vaporwave album covers were real. Two Time is a song about a reluctant relationship our protagonist almost feels pressured into. There's a contradiction between wanting this ideal partner, but not quite knowing how that translates into an actual person just yet. So, when the progression into a literal relationship is made, he immediately self-destructs and attempts to find random reasons to dislike his chosen partner.
But something bugs me about the way you lick your envelope so...
In this case, by criticizing her envelope-licking skills. Is that innuendo? No. Will I make it innuendo? Absolutely. We are drawn into a push and pull in his mind, where insecurity and self-doubt keep ruining his abilities at maintaining his lover's affection. We could leave the lights on, Jack muses, but then immediately comes up with the excuse of getting suntanned as a rebuttal. There's this inherent fear of intimacy that is forcing him into this internal blame cycle that's incredibly unhealthy. It's a very self-deprecating song, but it actually gets weirder as he starts comparing his behavior to cheating. The definition of two-timing someone is to deceive or be unfaithful to a lover or spouse. But in this case, they're not even together. He desperately wants to remain friends, so he's conforming to the girl's desire for a relationship so as not to lose her. I'm sorry, look at the warmth of this fucking video, man. It makes me think of Sunday school and seeing ads on strange channels when I was in 2nd grade, dipping animal crackers in little plastic cups of water. I was the first kid to start doing that at the church we went to. Then a bunch of other kids copied me. It was hilarious. Remember when I said we were going to talk about fun things? No? Well, this delightful track called Hope is clearly about substance abuse. Yay! But more importantly, you could look at this track as a setup or prequel to Jack Stauber's masterpiece, Opal. We watch as a young girl wanders aimlessly through life, drinking, downing pills, and hoping for a better existence. If you know anything about addiction and habit forming, aside from the more obvious elements that dig you down into the hole of dependency, there is another, less talked about element that Jack uses to great effect here. Sound. Repetitious movements along with Pavloving yourself are a hell of a drug. The perfect drug, one might say. Listen to this.
A little chunk of hope keeps me going every day. Keeps me going every day. Just a little chunk of hope.
These little noises and the motions associated with them, according to facts and logic, are habit forming and tie into how a person can get addicted. Jack often uses catchy little ASMR sounds in his videos. Now it's just more fucked up than usual. The lady has a baby as the song's lyrics start talking about waiting around for things to change. She's putting all her hopes and dreams into the idea of having a kid, which I could go on and on about how messed up that is, but more important, this could be Claire, the protagonist of Opal. Jack often has little references to his own work in his other work, and honestly, this would make a lot of sense to me. Even more importantly, the baby turns into money. What? If you wanted money, you could have simply just not been addicted to pills. Do you know how expensive being addicted is? Here's a thought. Imagine it's not actually Opal's mother, but Claire herself as an adult having fallen into the same patterns of abuse. That'll keep me up tonight. If the main place you listen to Jack's music is his animations on YouTube, I've got some incredible news for you. Nearly all of his songs are extended into full 2 to 3 minute tracks, and all of them, every single one that I have heard, is fucking fantastic. I hadn't heard this one in full until scripting this video. And there's one part at the end that feels like crack. I started dancing in my seat. I got up and walked around the room, listened to it like 30 times afterwards. This song is amazing. Anyways, let's talk about the video. Little guy swims through the trees. Multi-armed monstrosity expresses disdain. Food moves on its own. We turn the power on. And what the hell is that? The lyrics here are a lot more abstract. For example, off from my body, suck a load of medicine, slip into a sewer and cut my Thomas Edison. You live and you lose, you might find my next star. You know where I are. Then he just starts making noises that could be summoning a demon directly into your ear holes. But I'm going to try to understand this, so let's start with Thomas Edison. Okay, so first off, Thomas Edison didn't actually steal anyone's ideas, but many people believe he did and that he took credit for them. When I watch this video and hear these lines about not being ready for something, then backtracking with the sound of cameras flashing, close up, and I look so beautiful, it sounds like a problem many artists struggle with. A grappling with fame and coming to terms with the idea that millions of individuals know who you are and have incorporated something that you made into their lives, even if it's just in some small way. When an artist has this realization, it can either humble and inspire them or corrupt and hurt and destroy. For some, fame comes too quick, and instead of staying true to their vision, the artist compromises and allows themselves to be fragmented into 1,000 copies, then distilled into something easy to understand. I'm saving the most depressing one for last. So instead, here's a super fun one about a guy who works someplace other than Starbucks because Starbucks is shit. A little girl approaches the counter to inquire about purchasing a cup of coffee. Does she need it? Is she under control? The man behind the counter looks deader than a doornail as he rings her up and quotes her a price. The girl asks if he takes tooth, and he replies, "Sure. Doesn't everyone?" She hands him a tooth, then he returns home, goes to bed, and wakes up in the morning, and the tooth fairy has bequeathed him a shiny gold coin. He then gets up, returns to the counter, and the girl gets her coffee. Simple, right? Wrong! This little piece of gum is a 3-course dinner. No, roast beef, but I haven't got it quite right yet. First off, did the girl stand there all night? What was she doing that whole time? Was the store connected to his home? So many questions, Jack. However, I'm going to propose that very little of this literally happened. The way I see it, the little girl asked the man at the counter if he can take tooth, and he is transported back to when he was a child, hoping for some money for his teeth. Watch his eyes light up for a brief second in childlike wonder as his faith in something absurd is rewarded and the magic is retained. A lot of parents describe this phenomenon, but they get to relive small moments from their childhood vicariously through their own kids. And I think that that's why he decides to take tooth. He wants to keep that spark alive for the innocent little girl the world hasn't crushed yet. Now imagine for a moment that it was a much older person trying to sell their dentures for free coffee. On we go. This one is a wholesome skit. I'm serious this time. This actually is a wholesome skit about a father and his son finding meaning in hot dogs. Now you may be wondering, Daniel, what are you talking about? But before I can get into it, I have a larger point to make. Jack Stauber is so fucking good at writing realistic, casual dialogue. The exchanges between people have awkward pauses, they interrupt each other, but at the same time, it's still a romantic portrayal of speech and conversation where everything flows together. Even awkward pauses become comedic timing in Jack Stauber's perfect world of imperfection. It reminds me of the writing in 8th grade. Powerful movie by Bo Burnham, by the way. And the characters' interactions in it are super awkward. But the main difference is Jack's work still feels removed from reality. In a good way. You know, because reality sucks and is stupid. A father is hanging out with his baby and cannot seem to hold in all the knowledge he wants to impart on the child. They discuss various topics, and the dad tells his son that one day he'll be super smart and become a scientist. And it's interesting how excited the dad is to hang out with his kid. And when he reaches a gap in his knowledge, he easily switches to complimenting the child and telling him how smart and cool he is. Suddenly the dad sees a hot dog cooker, the kind you see at gas stations, tossed in a garbage pile by the side of the road. He asks why anyone would throw something like that away, and then takes it. This part is a little sad because I know what it means. You know, like if you've ever been in a situation like this where you needed to get some food item off the side of the road, then you know what that feels like. But what's so cool is that the dad doesn't seem to mind. He looks on the bright side and just keeps moving along. They head to the store to get some dogs from the pound. Ha 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 ha. The dad jokes multiply as they wait in line. They sit down in the yard, and he attempts to cook some dogs. However, there's a little problem. The cooker is broken. They sit in relative silence, which is broken only by the dad telling his son that he loves him. It's so happy. It's possible they're sitting outside the house because the dad lost his keys, or maybe that's not even their house, but it doesn't matter. All that matters is the genuine love and affection between a parent and their child. Uncompromised, unconditional, and beautiful. Okay, this is the end, so let's get real for a minute. Dinner Is Not Over has one of the most effective anti-offing yourself messages in any song, simply because it doesn't sugarcoat a thing. Jack doesn't live in a cotton candy house. He knows about life and its disappointments and tragedy, and he acknowledges them. You'll see what I mean. We are shown an assortment of food dancing merrily by as the lyrics "Dinner is not over" repeats. However, hidden with the meals we can see a human heart, a skull here, and other references to rot, death, and decay. Jack goes on to compare the foods to life experiences such as friendship and love. Then he says that he's tasted dying and it tasted good. The ideation was positive, and he wants that sweet release. But death is dessert, and you can have it when your dinner is done. He admits the appeal of death, but goes on to suggest that, hey, it's still gonna be there. Death comes for everyone. The chances of you existing at all were pretty slim. And now you have a chance to roll the dice on life. Maybe right now you're eating from a seemingly gigantic, insurmountable plate of soggy animal crackers, but eventually you could get to something better. The song continues. We watch a lollipop turn into a noose, just fun times all around. It's for when life sucks and you want to hang yourself. We get to see Jack eat his own brain like an even more demented salad fingers. Look at how weirdly wet the tongues are. I like my tongue dry. That's a new sentence. As someone who overshares on the internet, seriously, why do I keep doing this in literally every script I write? As someone who has struggled with ideation before, I find this to be some of the most comforting and profound ideas that Jack has ever expressed in his work. Material like this really helps people, and I'm glad that I live at the time when this art is being made. Okay, so let's address the elephant in the room. I recently joined OnlyFans and saw that you had an account. That kind of shocked me. Why did you make an account?
I made it for you.
Oh, maybe we should collaborate sometime?
I try to push the boundaries of my physical form.
So, if I needed a stuntman?
Backflips, front flips.
Do you find that medicinical helps?
When I'm on a bend, when I'm on one of my bends of stunt doing.
What do you recommend for people who might want to follow in your footsteps for the OnlyFans content?
You remember when you're making music and doing stunts is to drink just a lot of water.
I've watched some of these stunts. How do you not get hurt?
I think that's a fundamental part of life, is just to get hurt. And then, you can only feel better after you get hurt.
What do you get out of doing these stunts?
It's like a language that people speak. It's something that people know how to say. Like, it's a way to communicate with people that you wouldn't be able to communicate with throughout, like, a different format.
Over the pandemic, I started growing my hair out. It's gotten quite uncontrollable lately, but when did you start growing your hair?
And I grow my hair out, and I grow my glasses out. I try to keep everything, behind kind of a bit of a mask, I guess. And the only way to truly find out who I am is by listening to pop.
Well, I just realized that I used up all of our time here tonight. We didn't even get to any of the real questions, like, what's your favorite movie?
Like, I see the movie, but I don't know what it's called.
Okay, Jack, thanks for joining me.
Excuse me, sir. I gotta plug this. I gotta plug this CD. Plug.
Jack Stauber is an artist's artist with an uncompromised vision, a fan base that analyzes his enigmatic work even after over a year of apparent hiatus, and the ability to tap into the worst fears and nightmares of the general public. What more could you want? Each like on this video equals 1 cooked hot dog for the baby.
Dad, not understanding something isn't a good reason to prevent someone from doing something. It's just you trying to have power over something because you feel you have an adequate amount of power in your everyday daily life. Katie. Katie. What? I know you miss your mom. I know it's been hard without her, but we really need to start working together as a team if we want to tackle these larger issues. I'm back from my day trip from Wisconsin. Mom!
Sometimes an artist comes along who can change the lens through which you view the world around you. When I look at a window, I see a pane of glass, some wood, plastic, paint, I see something mundane. But there is something hidden in certain kinds of art, a key that unlocks the inspiration in my brain to see a window as a catalyst of change from one state of being to another, as a symbol of freedom, of escape, or of seeing the world through a different lens, gazing into someone's inner lives, whatever. The window becomes more than the sum of its parts, and I can feel a change stir in my soul. It makes me want to create something and gives me this sense of hope. Not many artists can evoke that in me, but this one can. This man is an eccentric surrealist. He is strange, an enigma, at the same time a musician, a producer, a wizard, a captivating lyricist, an animator, a mom, and ultimately, I believe that he is one of the most important artists of the last decade. Welcome back to The Truman Show, the only channel on YouTube cataloging a man's public descent into madness. This is the 4th in a series of videos where I rant to you about Jack Stauber, the 28-year-old art house extraordinaire based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And just like on previous episodes, we're going to be analyzing selected works from his extensive catalog and trying to figure out what they mean. Works which confuse everyone, except for me. I'm the only one who understands. So, before we start on our little adventure into one of the most fun corners of the internet, where all of us sad people slow dance in liminal spaces, settle in, get comfortable, get yourself a snack if you want, and steel your loins, because this could get mildly disturbing. For real though, just general trigger warning for, weird or uncomfortable shit. I don't think anything on here that I'm going to be going over today is as bad as something like Bumblebees are out, but it still goes to pretty dark and depressing places, so viewer discretion is advised, as pretty much always with my channel. Also, I keep saying this, but anything that I say is just my personal interpretation of the pieces that we discuss. One of my favorite parts of uploading these videos is reading people's different takes and opinions on the songs and videos. And while it really should be the default assumption when engaging with anyone's opinions about something that it's just their thoughts on it, a lot of people online get very offended if you don't preface every thought with, this is just my opinion.
Hi again, all right, I will say it again.
Video Man is just nuts. It conceptually scared me the first time I watched it, and I don't scare very easily. There's a simple, unchanging backdrop of green and blue and sun behind this weird little egg-shaped gumball thing. But where is the Video Man? Wait. He's the Video Man? The Video Man greets us wistfully, and then begins to sing a little song.
Hi again, all right, I will say it again. I am so jealous of you, you get to walk away. I don't learn, I just see a new time and me, same sun, same song, same words, same words, same words, same words. I am so jealous of you.
I am so jealous of you, you get to walk away. I don't learn, I just see your new time and me, same song, same words. He stares into your soul with this disappointed little smirk, in an animation that asks the question, what happens to the man in the TV after you turn the TV off? My grandmother tells a story sometimes that when she was a kid, she thought that there were little people inside the radio who would play the songs. This feels kind of like that. Jack took a character that he made and brought them to hideous life in a never-ending loop. Every time you rewatch the video, he greets you again and sings his repetitious little song. You'll quickly notice he sounds almost weary. Almost like he can't stand singing this stupid song over and over. He has no capacity for growth or change. Doomed to watch forever as he stays the same, always the same. Not you, though. You'll grow old and die as he reluctantly waits for his next viewer to serenade. It's incredibly meta, and it gets even worse when you think about it for too long, because the only way for him to find rest is to destroy the tape forever. By uploading him to the internet, you've essentially cursed him forever. Only when the last servers fail and the final data tower falls and crumbles to the ground will the video man find peace. Gives me chills.
When I try, there you are.
Have you ever felt like you weren't able to be yourself? And instead of being authentic or genuine, you had to pretend to be someone you weren't. Someone more capable, more sociable, more interested, more interesting, constantly putting on a careful performance for reasons ranging from seeking approval to simple distrust of those around you. Fighter is one of my personal favorite Jack Stauber songs, and it takes that idea of a person putting on a mask or a persona and adds this second character, one who sees through you and belligerently rips the facade off, exposing the bit beneath that brings you shame. And also, somehow at the same time, to me, it's a love song. For the longest time, I didn't know there was a video associated with the song at all. But one thing I immediately geeked out over was that at the very beginning of the video, you can just barely see a frame from Stauber's song Peppermint, a fun little Easter egg that makes me wonder if these videos got digitized in batches and were sliced apart afterwards, and this was a little mistake. Jack Stauber is known for these sort of lo-fi masterpieces of animation, accompanied by warm, strange music with pop production, but extremely weird lyrics and sounds and vocal inflections. Jack gets his signature degraded tape recording sounds and visuals using analog gear and then digitizing the results, which explains why his VHS look is a million times better than the obviously phony VHS filter that comes prepackaged with Adobe and shows up all over YouTube nowadays. As many younger people's internal visualization of a VHS recording will be based off a cheap emulation rather than the actual thing. I realize this is silly, it's a hyper-specific thing to care about, but it's something that I only recently learned, and it's meant a lot to me, and seemingly has helped me to understand what gives Jack's work the sort of aura of authenticity that comes with the less polished material. It wasn't manufactured, it was literally created that way. Little details like that stick out as important to me. You might not notice it immediately, but I'm pretty sure if you were to remove the degradation from those tapes, and if you had recorded these same songs in a professional studio with producers and recorded those same animations in 4K quality, much of the life and warmth and feeling of inherent longing for a time you weren't even a part of would be stripped away. And these emotions getting evoked is a massive part of why Jack's material works for me. In a larger context, it's interesting to me how what are considered defects of any given medium are, in hindsight, the most charming and valuable things about it. The needle drop, the hiss of a record, rolling a tape back before returning it, scratched DVDs with wildly interactive menus. There is an intangible magic to the tech that we create that gets lost in translation until it doesn't. And suddenly you find yourself listening to a Mac DeMarco record for the first time and noticing a strange quality to the sound. Then you turn into a nerd and do a little bit of research and discover that that sound is because he used all analog gear instead of programmed drums and MIDIs. None of this is intended to be nostalgia porn. I'm not trying to say that one medium is any better than any other medium. In fact, to some degree, it is difficult not to be cynical about an aura of authenticity when it's deliberately emulated rather than organically lived in during the time when that thing was popular. But at the end of the day, what matters most is its effect on the viewer or the reader or the listener. And that tangible, emotional effect is what I'm talking about. We watch as Jack shifts between a fighter and a lover, the two states of being imposed on him by some nebulous other. It could be friends, could be a partner, could just be societal pressure. He is told what box he needs to fit inside and then conforms to that reality. But then we add in someone who can see past the masking techniques and tries to uncover who the narrator truly is by pushing their curtains to the side, in this case, shower curtains, exposing their nakedness. There's this really fun breakdown about halfway through the extended version of the song as this 50s style doo-wop music starts playing, and we hear a high-pitched voice welcoming us to the performance of the one and only Jack Stauber. This section culminates with the question, if you really loved me, why'd you train me to fight? Is the person tearing their identity apart also simultaneously the orchestrator behind that pressure to conform in the first place? That would be awful. The expectations and the blame and the shame all being inflicted by one person. Then the final section of the track is the most powerful, and one of my favorite moments in any Jack Stauber song. The music mostly cuts out, except for a rhythmic thumping, and the vocals start much softer this time, and then intensify as the track builds to an angry crescendo that is really satisfying and cathartic. This really is one of my favorite tracks that Jack has ever made. And I'm super happy I got to talk about it. Honestly, I feel like it's pretty underrated. Anyways, moving on. Let's pump the brakes a bit on the horrifying nonsense, and instead switch our focus to something positive and uplifting, safe for the whole family. 104.7, The Fish. Getting My Mom On is a song about being a caretaker, or a caregiver. Why do those mean the same thing? A song about being a mother and some stereotypically motherly behavior, which was uploaded on May 13th, 2018, aka Mother's Day. The song contains one of the funniest lines I've ever heard in a song. I want to live up in a tree and sell a knife to a bee and agree that he won't poke me. What? The hell does that mean? While most of Jack's work is super disturbing or difficult to process and work through, this video for this song is one of the silliest and goofiest things he's made, and I love it so very much. He just looks genuinely happy here, and I think that joy is evident even in his most messed up pieces. A lot of people try to portray the man himself as this tragic figure, but in the few interviews we have and the comments from those who claim to know him, he sounds like an extremely chill dude who just likes making unique art, and his dancing around and drinking mimosa is just infectious to me. And I think it does us good to dwell on it after all this crazy stuff. The song itself reminds me a lot of the song White Woman's Instagram by Bo Burnham. It starts by making fun of or kind of being tongue-in-cheek about stereotypical mom behavior, like day drinking, cutting coupons, going shopping at JCPenney in the mall, listening to John Mayer, having tacky posters, and trying to keep up with unruly kids. But as the song continues, he starts to empathize with the Keep Calm Carry On poster, realizing what a hectic and draining full-time job being a mom is. Constantly searching for the kids, hearing them hurt themselves and feeling pain that you yourself weren't there to stop that from happening to them, feeling the pain of not being able to constantly protect them. He also mentions hiding away Special K as a cereal that's just for him. Special K's entire branding used to be weight loss based. Watching your body change as you age is something that few people look forward to. But the expectations placed on mothers, especially after childbirth, by those around them in regard to their appearance can be ridiculous. So after Jack gets in touch with his inner mother, he realizes that it's very taxing and becomes enlightened. Maybe.
Did you get cheese hats? You bet your sweet ass I got cheese hats. Dope, Mom.
PB&J is one of those hilarious, awkward animations, which feels like something you'd see on Adult Swim, back when Adult Swim was still really cool and felt like an offbeat acid trip. Like with some of the others in this category, I can't really explain it to you word for word, or else that'll just make it cheaper. So instead, I'm going to show it to you, and then discuss why it works so well.
Daddy, I said I only wanted jelly on the sandwich. This is peanut butter and jelly. I hate peanut butter. Katie, there's so much protein in peanut butter. You have to eat peanut butter to grow healthy. I'm your dad. I know what's best for you. And I don't understand why you wouldn't want peanut butter on your sandwich. It is the best flavor combination that you could have on a sandwich. Dad, not understanding something isn't a good reason to prevent someone from doing something. It's just you trying to have power over something because you feel you have an adequate amount of power in your everyday daily life. Katie. Katie. What? I know you miss your mom. I know it's been hard without her, but we really need to start working together as a team if we want to tackle these larger issues. I'm back from my day trip from Wisconsin. Mom! Did you get cheese hats? You bet your sweet ass I got cheese hats. Dope, Mom.
Holy shizzle, Jack's getting his mom on! We've come full circle. At least no one's getting his mom off. Now that'd be crazy. The biggest thing here is obviously the dialogue, which feels both realistic and at the same time like the improv game Yes and, the game where you create a role-playing scenario and your partners have to keep adding to the scene by accepting what you said and tacking more onto it. The stakes getting raised over and over, from a psychological analysis to a monologue about the grief of losing your mother, all over an argument about a sandwich, is hilarious all by itself. But then Mom walks through the door and the misdirection is revealed. There was no crisis. All the melodrama was for nothing. I feel like family drama can often turn out like this, starting over something small and stupid and escalating into something that feels massive in the moment. And years later, you don't remember anything except for how silly it was to get so worked up in the first place. You've been feeling down, haven't you, since the accident? Well, kid, I want you to know that there's always somebody who's going to be looking out for you. Somebody who picks you up when you fall. Somebody who gave everything to be God?
Yes, it is I, my child. Sometimes I wonder if there's anyone looking out for me. When you pretend that airplanes in the night sky are like shooting stars, I could really use a wish right now, wish right now, wish right now.
I wanna be painless.
Do you love the story of Cupid? I know I do. An adorable little cherub who shoots a golden arrow at people's hearts to make them fall in love. It's sweet, endearing, and my God, what the hell is that? Cupid is one of Jack's more popular songs, and one that I'm surprised that I haven't covered yet. Not sure what I was thinking there. My bad, people have been requesting this for 2 years now, and I'm finally getting to it. To me, this song is fairly straightforward, and it's hard for me to think of one more filled with sadness. Cupid is a cruel beast who inflicts nothing but pain on those who don't get the reciprocated love they see all around them. It's easy to feel like you won't ever find someone to love or to hold, and while riding the bus alone, you start to wonder if you're rapidly running out of time. The song has a sort of crying sound in the background, as well as screeching feedback throughout, seemingly to really emphasize the pain the lead singer is going through. They express a desire to cut the ability to love off of them, like a circumcision. The love he carries is something to be surgically removed, and I don't think the phallic imagery is unintentional. To those who are unaware, circumcision is the removal of the foreskin from the penis, generally occurring at or near birth for religious or aesthetic reasons. Pretty barbaric practice, if you ask me, one which researchers have found registers as sexual trauma in the developing mind and decreases a man's sexual sensitivity and ability to, finish. But let's keep this on track. The love and desire that the singer feels, they analyze over and over again in their head, obsessively beating themselves over the head with the lack of reciprocity and how stupid they were to think that the feelings were shared. And they conclude that love is vapid and aimless and based on nothing. But if it's nothing, then why do they hurt so bad? The perfect Valentine's Day song. The little earworm creature in the video is shot and killed, falling back down into his hole of depravity and landing in a coffin. But unfortunately, the coffin turns into a closet, as we see that those feelings never really go anywhere, but just lie dormant, sleeping an uneasy sleep till one day you reread a letter and fall back down the hole again. And there's nothing but darkness and grief for something that was never meant to be, as you waste away and wait. Some people asked me to cover the song that got leaked from his Patreon. Did you know that Jack Stauber has a Patreon page where he uploads new content on a monthly basis, and it's super cool and also awesome? If you have the ability and means to, you should totally check it out. The song in question is a recent one about how computers can't create human emotions. Fairly topical given this current AI craze. But that's all I'm going to say about it, because super not cool to leak small independent artists' stuff. Consider this an ad for his Patreon. Support your favorite artists. It's the most inconsistent job in the world when it comes to being paid any sort of livable wage, and I feel like in a lot of ways it's a super underappreciated job, despite the fact that literally everyone consumes art. All the people who were using the song on TikTok while knowing where it came from are very stupid. If you're going to steal, do it from corporations, not from artists. This year, Spotify has demonetized millions of artists, but has been platforming thousands of AI-generated songs on playlists that they curate. So cool, right? Try to go to local shows if you can. Tickets can be $10, $15, or some I've been to are even free. Support your movies and your music and your books and the people who create the art you love, or analyze the art you love. I have a Patreon page you should totally check out if you want. You get cool Discord privileges, behind the scenes content, and you can watch videos sort of come together before they actually release. Plus, it's a big reason why I can still make videos on here, so I appreciate you.
I do, can I, do I.
Now we turn our unwavering gaze to Abel, aka a modern retelling of Animal Farm in 27 seconds. A life uncertain of what your capabilities actually are, so you live in a sort of half-witted haze of convenience as you are taken advantage of by those who understand more and are willing to use their power to subjugate you. Intensely disturbing, Abel follows the life of a cow on a farm as she questions what she can and cannot do. She watches as the farmer milks her and her sisters, builds the farms they reside in, the places they are caged in, and she sees them feed her. These actions are all out of her hands, and she thinks long and hard about this as she slowly and agonizingly is pulled down a conveyor belt leading into the darkness. This uncanny feeling in the pit of your stomach gets worse and worse when we see the farmer's eyes glow hot with malice? No. Hunger. You see, our friendly cow here understands its potential. It wishes to realize it, but it lacks the means, the learned skills, the equipment, the biological advantages. It imagines holding the same power as the farmers to build and grow and sustain instead of just survive. You could say that the cow has been separated from the means of production. That's right! This was a metaphor for capitalism! Wait, what's that? Right as the cow actualizes its own destiny and freedom of choice and will, we get to the end of the conveyor. A sack over her head and a carefully placed bolt gun pointed at her brains. The unsettling image fades as we stare helplessly into the darkness, forced to reconcile with what we weren't shown but still know to be true. Whatever potential existed before has been snuffed out, and in its place, the cold reality that there was never any escape from the farm that was her prison. It was always going to end this way. After a 15-month hiatus from posting videos, Jack returned on October 26, 2021 to upload what is, as of this recording, his last public post on social media, and fittingly, one of the most insane pieces of art that he has ever created. It's so awful that I was afraid of covering it. It's called Baby Son Adoring Us, and just like a real father, Jack gave us a baby, and has been nowhere to be seen for 3 years. There are two main interpretations of this song and video. The first is a more technical theory kind of interpretation. We see a child with an abnormally large head as his parents rejoice at his birth. The first thing we see is a brain shriveling up. Then we watch as the child seemingly has severe psychic pain inflicted on him. Something is wrong with the infant. We see this almost tumor-like growth and wonder if that could be causing all the intense hurt and distress. But his parents, blind in their joy, see his pained stare looking up at them as a look of adoration. The birth defect hurting him is symbolized by trees dying behind him as his neurons fail and give out. The parents tell the child to sustain and conquer the illness, but seemingly give up on him in the end, exclaiming, "Can he go away?" as the baby grows angel wings and ascends to the heavens above. Like Hamantha. This implies that the parents let the child die literally because they couldn't stand taking care of him, and they cover their eyes so they don't need to see the damage that they cause. Fantastic. My favorite, really. So this begs the question, what other way is there to interpret this? My take on it is more personal and less literal, taking it less as an obvious story and more as a metaphor. As always, these ideas are very much just my opinion. Don't take anything I say as gospel. Come to your own conclusions. The song to me is about parents putting expectations on their children. A child is brought into the world against their will and are going to have to deal with the many things that life has to offer, which along with good things include disease, sickness, pestilence, hunger, injustice, malice, hatred, war, violence, doing things you don't want to do to survive, greedy, lying, backstabbing, awful people, pedos, and Colleen Hoover books. Parents have certain responsibilities and they owe their children everything. That includes a roof over their heads, access to education, access to medicine, food on the table, love and affection. All of this unconditionally as a minimum to try and balance out the inherent unfairness of the situation. But some people get it twisted. And despite not really liking their own lives, they decide that life is some fantastic gift that they've bestowed to their offspring and make it their business to make their kids feel guilty and indebted to them for anything and everything. Everything is too much. And sometimes they try to control the paths the kids take in life, even as adults, including jobs, friends, who they love, what they're allowed to believe, etc., on and on. To me, Baby Son Adoring Us is a story about someone putting the massive weight and pressure of their own dreams and aspirations onto their kid and attempting to live vicariously through them to achieve some ego-driven catharsis. And when that kid doesn't live up to those expectations or fails to conquer, then the parent becomes indifferent or even full of spite or anger. And then they close their eyes and plead with God, "Please, make them go away."
Sabrina would open the cupboard and search, for inside she knew lived a miniature man.
Do you like men? We're going to be talking about multiple different types of men, starting with the Lima bean variety. This short starts with almost a Dr. Seuss-like nursery rhyme. Each day when her parents would head off to church, Sabrina would open the cupboard and search, for inside she knew lived a miniature man who'd made his home behind their Lima bean can. Then he starts to sing her a beautiful song about being tied to a spoon and floating up to the moon. You must understand, he has a wife on the moon with beautiful hair, and he hopes she's not dead. He's been gone a long time. I wonder how many years it's been. He cannot accept her death, so he imagines she's waiting somewhere for him instead of dealing with the grief of her passing. It's very sad. So the Lima Bean Man starts repeating, "I hope she's not dead. I hope she's not dead," over and over and over again in wailing screams, as Sabrina does what I think we all do when we listen to Jack Stauber. She looks on with absolutely no sympathy. And if this video means anything, I think it's trying to say, in a sort of tongue-in-cheek way, that y'all don't want to hear me, y'all just want to dance. Sometimes people play pumped up kicks at school basketball games. Sometimes they play Every Breath You Take at weddings. Couldn't be me though. I'll be on the other side. You're going to be hearing sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows when I kill myself. And it'll be hilarious. Inchman is a fast-paced, upbeat, and catchy song that is nearly incomprehensible lyrically, and to this day, people still have no idea what the lyrics are. Legend goes that when asked what the lyrics were, Jack responded with a smile, "I'll never tell." The video features a tiny man. Let's call him Bob. The video features Bob running around, Jack punching himself in the face, and a general sense of symmetry. A clockwork energy, if you will. The full version of the song seems to paint a picture of an abusive relationship where one person hurts the other. Honestly, it's difficult to find any clear meaning. It's even difficult for me to stretch to find some absurd nonsense off in the distance. Jack Stauber quite literally invented his own language for this stuff. You can clearly hear two different voices at the start of the track, one who says it's never been worse, and the other who responds, that's not true. This theme of invalidating and gaslighting someone else permeates the entire song. Inchman released nearly 7 years ago now, and it's funny going to the comment section and seeing Jack interacting with comments and seeing people who were still unaccustomed to the nature of his work get jump scared by the strangeness of it all. There is a certain longing for the past that must be coming across in my writing right about now, which leads me to... As we approach the end of this fun little analysis video, I have two more song, video, animation abominations that I want to talk about. The first being called Back, and it deals with a false nostalgia that creeps into your mind and rots your bones and brain and soul, expressing the ever-present sentiment of every generation that has ever existed. Back in my day, things were so much better. This is one of the few songs that refers to Jack himself as a concept. The video and song are a distorted childhood through half-forgotten memories and strange landscapes of looking up at the adults and wondering if you'll ever make it up there. You'll notice the slap on the back leaves a strong, lasting imprint, almost as though it was a form of punishment. My favorite part about this one is the music. Some of Jack's most interesting work to me is a little bit more experimental and a bit darker, and here I get that fix in very high doses. The music is slow, deliberately weird, and his vocals pitch shift up and down. It's all so alien and incredibly cool to me. We can look back on how we used to stay up till 5 in the morning, which I find hilarious because I'm writing this at 7:36 a.m. and I've been up all night scripting. The final song on the list gives Tonight Tonight by the Smashing Pumpkins a run for its money. You get it? Because it's called Today Today. This song might be the most straightforward one that we cover, and I think it's fitting to have it here at the end. It's about those days. You know the ones. The days where you can't seem to catch a break. Days that feel like they're caught in your throat, just taking up space. Days the quiet panic rises and gets worse and worse until you start counting your teardrops in a desperate attempt to calm down. And all the time you aren't spending worrying about where you have to be and what you have to do, you spend it dwelling on your past mistakes. He sings, "Today, today is one of those days to seem like the green light burned out. And where to begin just doesn't fall in. Forget what your move was about." This is something that I personally feel often. A sort of executive dysfunction where I feel anxious but immobile. It's not just that I can't or won't do the work that I need to do or respond to the calls that I need to respond to and then the texts that I should. I can't even force myself to brush my teeth or eat. The green light that he mentions is a reference to The Great Gatsby. In that book, the colored light is the guide that keeps Gatsby from getting lost. The ambitions and hopes and dreams seem to have fizzled out, and in their place is a gentle, disquieting buzzing of malcontent, eating away at your heart until you finally force yourself to do the thing or things that you needed to do. But even that brings no happiness or change. It just paves the way for the next unbearable task. Today is one of those days that carries you slowly to next time. You cry out for help, but no one is there. You drove them away with your inability to act. They have no sympathy, and really, why should they? It's a loneliness that's yours alone to bear. The days between days feel like an eternity that is quantifiable and adds up over time to this cacophony of failure and wasted potential. But then you try to regain some perspective. Jack says count your teardrops, all 114 of them. And when I was researching for this video, I discovered that this song and this video is his 114th upload to his channel. That's public. Those videos are the teardrops. The sum of your past and future accomplishments will define you so much more than your failures ever will. And today is just one of those days, and the depression might pass or ease if you just hold on a little bit longer. And there's this beautiful breakdown in the extended version of the song where he stares directly into the face of depression and begins to sing. And honestly, that's what I aspire to be like. Also, the little man in a suit and tie reminds me of the guy in Work. Sweet cinnamon. To be honest with you, some of the days leading up to finishing the script were just some of those days, but something that brings me joy beyond almost anything else is getting to ramble about stuff that I find interesting. So, thank you for listening. Before we get into the video, I just made an album of original music. It's kind of weird, it's a little bit folky, and I put my heart and soul into it, and you can listen to it right now on Spotify, Bandcamp, Apple Music, wherever you listen to music, you can go listen to it. I'd really appreciate it if you checked it out. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the video. Hello everyone, this is Daniel Profeta, back with a 5th installment of Let's Discover Why Jack Stauber Makes Me Laugh and cry at the same time. Finding Stauber's music is like when they discovered a taste so unique that they made up a new word to describe it. We've got a bunch more of Jack Stauber's songs and videos, and we are going to be watching their careers with great interest. So welcome in, buckle up, get ready. It's been a while. Thank you for being here.
How tall are you?
I'm short.
Oh, yeah!
I'm tall.
Oh!
How tall are you? A strange little man asks with eyes bulging expectantly. Jack responds,
I'm short.
Oh, yeah!
Case closed.
I'm tall.
Oh!
Wait. What? Okay, but you just said that, and you could make up your mind. Then he is turned into liquid in a cup and is slurped down by some random dude for the duration of the video. While the unreliable narrator is being wishy-washy in his answers, we get to literally hear the man who asked getting audibly more and more confused as the track goes on. But that's not all that's happening in the background if you pay attention. You silly creatures who watch the Daniel Profeta channel like dorks. You will see that his height actually does not change at all. The people beside him go from being big to being small. Then it gets a bit wackier and he's measured against a tree and a dog, but his size always remains the same. It's all a matter of what he is being compared to, and that is what makes all of the difference. Somewhere in this 26-second video, there's a lesson about comparison being the thief of joy, or how contentment can be found through creating a measuring stick for yourself by which you are the one judging yourself. It's a hopeful thought that a bit of creative manipulation of the self could solve all my self-esteem problems. But then we are turned into a soda and drunk. We are literally a medium soda. And Jack, in this instance, is creating a commentary on how no matter what we compare to, at least drink sizes remain the same. Except, of course, in Great British, where sizes are smaller across the board. At the end of the day, regardless of if we are big or small, the mega rich slurp us down like soda. They're like giants towering above us. Also, I have a personal confession to make. There have been multiple videos in the past where I implied that I was pretty short. I'm pretty small. I'm actually 5'11".
Short King, you're the same height as me. I know where you live, Shorty.
I'm gonna come to your house and do things to you, small boy.
But the truth is, hold on. I'm 5'11 and a half. Hold on, guys. It's raining on me. That means in about 5 minutes, it'll start raining on you. I'm just warning you now. How does it feel to be small, huh? Maybe go compare yourself to an ant. Maybe then you'll feel tall.
Good morning, Blondie.
Sometimes I wake up at night and beside me is a demon. It has latched itself onto my side and it haunts my sleeping hours. Then when I awake, there is a girl who remains, still wrapped around my side and staring at me. Good Morning Blondie opens with the sun rising, but for some reason the clock reads 2? Is this AM or PM? Despite how strange this video gets as it goes on, I think that this part is the strangest little background detail, one that's even more disorienting when we open with the sun rising. In the video, Jack wakes up beside a woman and seems to try to be affectionate in his own way, only for her to keep changing into an entity of Coraline puppet eyes. Pretty unique video, as not many of Jack's stuff actually features another human being. The lady wakes up beside him and smiles warmly as Jack sings, "Good morning, Blondie, rise and shine. I'll make you a cup of coffee, but I'll pour more into mine." You'll notice that the woman is in fact not blonde. Odd. He sits down across from her at the table as she continues to smile, and he starts trying to drink his coffee, seemingly to avoid eye contact, only to look over apprehensively and find that her mouth has become something strange, an aberration of clay and flesh, which Jack describes as moving like a puppet speaking words he can't understand. He takes a walnut, puts it between her teeth, possibly to make her stop talking, and then cracks her mouth down like there are sugar plum fairies watching like sadistic voyeurs. Her response is to sort of attack him as the song calls her love the best Punch and Judy show on the whole East Coast. Quick history lesson. Punch and Judy is a traditional puppet show featuring Punch and his wife Judy, an archetypal and controversial British figure with his origins in a 16th century Italian puppet. Mr. Punch has been performing in the UK for over 350 years. The Italian puppet it was based on was a marionette or stringed puppet, but Punch and Judy are typically simpler hand puppets. The show mainly depicts slapstick violence, plus Elliott Smith has a song that references the characters and is the reason why I know what they are. Quick history lesson over. Jack is shown in a nightmarish position, his limbs twisted and knotted together into an extremely painful, sorry, I misread, more like extremely fatal, like he should be dead. Look at that and tell me he's coming back alive. Now they wake up in bed together again, and she wants to tell Jack about her dreams. And here's how he sees her doing that. Her blabbering mouth and staring static TV eyes. Some real women, am I right? kind of humor. Then he makes her a new cup of coffee and says he'll pour it in her jaw in her big flesh drawer. Excuse me, what? The hell? I'm going to be exclusively calling people's mouths big flesh drawers from now on. This one is a weird one by Jack. It reminds me of how some people who talk about marriage or married life as the old ball and chain, or like they would do anything to get their partners to just shut up. A lot of people in the comments under the video seem to think that it's a sweet song and a sweet sentiment, but look at the title. She's not blonde. Why is he calling her that? In my opinion, Jack is playing a character who sees their lover as a monster, and then when he simply ignores her until he needs to use her mouth, in this case, for his own devices, he then paints himself as the victim when she gets angry with him. Really interesting psychoanalysis of this type of relationship. I'll make you a cup of coffee, but I'll make sure that I have more than you.
Playing into summer music, wall fell down, so I built a new one.
Something you'll see often in Jack's work is an intense interest in playful and clever wordplay. What kind of milk were you? What kind of life did you live through? And this multimedia event is called Tea Errors, which fits the song on its own, but also phonetically sounds like literal tea errors. Terrors. Dun dun dun. A second Jack Stauber music video featuring another human being has hit the towers. A yellow light illuminates a poised woman drinking from an elegant glass, and Jack opposite her, fidgeting and avoiding eye contact. And I've never felt so represented in my life. She bites her tongue, and it's probably supposed to be seductive, and then Jack does the same, just as sexily. There's an obvious juxtaposition between his nervousness and her calm, cool, and collected self. We see him running as instruments float around him in space, only for them to vanish as the girl is tossed into his arms. He looks up, confused, almost like he's been caught doing something wrong, as a godly hand reaches down from the heavens to chastise him. Bring her back by 9, young man. A row of flowers, with one being salted and wilting as soil is ruined. Then the woman is back at the table, but this time her head is in her hands and facing away from us. And then somehow we get a flashback sequence to the beginning of the video, 15 seconds prior. I think that's hilarious, but it also serves a purpose. To me, Tea Errors is a speculation on falling in love and looking past that initial honeymoon phase and seeing no real future with the person, trying to change for the person, but then a bit of your original unchanged self peeking through, and the sudden jarring realization that no matter how hard you tried to change for them, you really haven't changed at all. Of course, he communicates these ideas strangely. It wouldn't be Jack Stauber if he didn't. But the lyrics describe dumping nervous tendencies and thinking back to old habits after time has elapsed. There's a really funny part where he does a deeper voice and says, "Bring her back by 9, young man." But then later in the song, that deeper voice comes back and says, "Bring her back and hold her hand." A very different kind of pressure the second time around. This song is almost erotic, both in a way that's veiled and through the lens of sex anxiety, and then also through a broader lens of just general relationship anxiety. In the lyrics, he describes a shame cycle. Licking someone's sweet tooth is terror to me. Your soul is rotten, out of control, and I'm thinking, dreaming of a time when things were different, running into the same mistakes over and over as time ticks faster and faster, and he wonders if he chose the wrong person. But no, that's not exactly what it is it? Remember early in the video how he has instruments around him that get replaced by a girl? It's almost like a fear of losing yourself, your hobbies, your personality, your style in another person, trying to change for that person, the terror of being assimilated. And of course, the solution to this is just not to compromise. It can be easy to try to remake yourself in the image of those around you to fit in better, but it won't feel comfortable, and over time it will either A, kill your soul, or B, just not be sustainable. You won't be able to keep that type of act up. What you've got to do is build yourself into the person that you want to be, and then ironically, by not compromising on that, then you will find the best people for you, people who love you for you, which is something that took me way too long to learn. And before we continue, I can't remember if I already touched on this in a previous video, but Tea Errors is a really great place to make this next point. Jack Stauber's business model for marketing his music is really, really interesting. He'll make a short animation that's maybe 30 seconds long, then use that hype to promote a full 3-minute song on Spotify and Bandcamp. And he calls these longer versions the extended versions, which is a bit weird all by itself because Tea Errors was called Tea Errors when it was initially uploaded with the 30-second clip, but the actual lyrics with the words Tea Errors in them is only in the chorus. A chorus that does not appear except for in the full extended version of the song, obviously implying that it was never extended. The music videos are just short versions of songs that he already had completed. In a way, Jack has apparently predicted and outmaneuvered short-form social media platforms like TikTok and fried attention spans of most people in their 20s and below. Just like how many up-and-coming artists today are told to write a song and then create short-form social media content to promote the song, we find Jack doing the same thing circa 2013. Some crazy stuff he was doing with that degree in marketing. A man walks through his small town. What goes on in his head? What secrets does his heart contain? Behind those thin-rimmed glasses and the frankly dead-looking eyes, does he hold multitudes within himself? He sees a missing poster for a dog and mumbles to himself. Then he stands in the doorway of his house in the dark. We wonder why the lights are off. Why doesn't he turn them on? Then, like a flash of light, there is a flash of light. He owns bags of food. Terrifying. This man kidnaps dogs and returns them for reward money. We watch him shake a bunch of puppies out of his backpack, and I love how they are all like 2 frames just jittering back and forth with little smiles. He finds the dog on the poster and returns him to his rightful owner, who says, "It's a miracle her little Alan has returned." Alan. What a bad name for a dog. Now you might think that this video, affectionately titled Day Job, is all fun and games. Oh, look at the cute dog. Isn't the dog adorable? Haha, isn't the deadpan name funny? No, it's not funny. These dogs are in the trenches and he's getting rich. What happens when those dogs don't have reward money? What happens then? And that, my friends, is why, and this is what I think Jack Stauber's trying to say, you get a night job.
If I had a tiny mouth.
And now it's time for a visual representation of me trying to flirt. If I had a tiny mouth, I'd kiss every eyelash on your eye. Fortunately, I don't have a tiny mouth. I actually have a mouth cavity that is much larger than normal for a person of my size and shape and whatnot. Which is why I just eat eyeballs whole. I really love how well Jack can portray a kind of obsessive, nervous, butterflies in the stomach kind of love. He does it in a lot of his videos, and I think he nails it over and over, even in 10-second videos like this one. And as you know, Valentine's Day is not for the lonely. They get to have every other day.
Disciplinary, and it's all kind of scary.
I'm just gonna say it. Most people would not have the balls to say this, but I do. Keyman is one of, if not the most underrated Jack Stauber songs. I never really see people talk about it, and that's kind of sad to me, because I think it's a key, to how we get a lot of Jack's most uncompromising work, and I think the sentiment it expresses is one that a lot of artists struggle with. Jack stands holding a belt. What I want to know is, who is he spanking and why? He sings disciplinary, and it's all kind of scary. If I jingle my keys, don't call me Keyman, please. So, back in the day, jingle, jingle, jingle. The back rooms, jingle, jingle, jingle. Shaking keys at someone to grab and hold their attention in the easiest way possible. Finding the ability to appeal to the lowest common denominator and then going off of that in your art. But suddenly you find that that's all people know you for. Something stupid, vapid, or something that makes you cringe really hard looking back on just becomes the main thing people know about you. And that is a common fear for artists, which might sound counterintuitive because a lot of people who aren't artists think of an artist and they think, well, they want to be recognized for their work. But that it's just a lot of times a lot more convoluted than that. It's a reaction that's hard to understand, especially in a world where a lot of folks define success as making money or or gaining notoriety, especially for a person creating art, which it's, kind of hard to break through with, and is a lot of times a pretty thankless job for the vast majority of people who do it. Like, no matter how many hours you put into it, it's never really going to be a proportionate amount of livelihood coming back from that for the vast majority of people. And in reality, that desire for notoriety or fame or fortune is just, it's not true for everyone. There is a dedication to craft and an ideal and a form that can transcend any immediate desire for fame and fortune, a fear of being boxed in or stagnating or finding the hobby that you loved turned into something that brings you no joy at all. Like the guy who made Skibbity Toilet. And so the Keyman implores you, don't label him only for what it is that he does. Basically, if I jingle my keys at you one time, don't call me Keyman for the rest of my life. Thanks. When he says this the first time, his head turns into claymation with a wild expression, almost as if to say, don't force me to never try new things. Just because I do claymation doesn't mean it's all I ever will do. He goes on to sing, rewind, refine, you will find me inside. And then he lifts up his shirt to reveal Jack on an umbilical cord, as a baby, but with a normal head in his womb. Throw down your umbilical noose so I can climb right back. Wait, what? Nirvana? So if the first part of the song is a fear of being boxed in, the second verse is a fear of being misunderstood or misconstrued. He says, I wrote you a song and now you're singing it wrong. I gotta say, I don't think that's our fault, Jack. Have you heard the way that you sing? I'm pretty sure it took us years to get even close with the lyrics online, and we were greatly aided and abetted by you posting the lyrics onto the Patreon page. To be honest, most people understand these ideas underneath the video and repeat them in different ways throughout the comments. But there is a section in the full version of the extended song that tells a very different story. A piano suddenly starts playing. The whole vibe of the song changes, and Jack sings, much more understandably than usual, call me Keyman. I understand it much better than unlocking vanity. Call me Keyman. In fact, I demand it. Ooh, ooh, and ah, ah sound sensible to me. And when I have cold hands, still call me Keyman. Not for how it were, but for how I beg to be. He then accepts, or the artist accepts, the wider effect that their art has, and they implore us to remember them for their work, even after they're gone and their hands are cold. For their work represented how they wanted to be seen, despite how ordinary the artists themselves are. And I don't know, I think that's sweet. I like the sentiment of the song a lot. It's a little sad. Everything about the song is sad, but I really like that one.
Just seeing you, I knew a bond between us two had grew.
Jack sits, holding a woman while staring steadfast into the void. The world around them is dark and warm. All at once, his skull is pried open from the inside, and a little egg thing leaps out with frustratingly human limbs to sing us a little song. Isn't he cute? Maybe the song will be nice and normal. Just seeing you I knew, a bond between us two had grew, and love spilled out the open doors and smeared around the kitchen floor. Two hearts through all complexity contorted into harmony, and blood won't travel through those veins, but love will. Oh, love will. And the song abruptly ceases, and the weird little creature hops back into Jack's brain, and we are left in almost complete silence, except for muffled crying low in the background. It's kind of disturbing, this one. To me, he is trying to comfort her while she is crying, but has no idea how to actually articulate it. His mind is buzzing with obsession so wild that it turns into Lovecraftian weird Junji Ito Uzumaki imagery, but he is apparently unable to voice it, or just knows that exactly what he's thinking wouldn't be appropriate in that moment. so they sit in almost complete silence, and only her tears break through. We are left with a lot of unanswered questions, which is typical for a Jack Stauber short. I wonder if the woman is like dying, or if she could even be dead already. That could explain the weird, disturbing imagery of the lyrics. Blood won't travel through these veins, but love will. Something I want to bring your attention to here is the texture effects Jack uses throughout his work. This video is perfect to analyze this element because the textures are really clear and not overly busy, so we can really focus in on them. In the foreground, we have these splashes of white distortion animated into the frame, and in the background, we see different shades of black and brown. We see faint lightning. We see a lot of imagery that paints a suggestion in our minds without really ever being more than a backdrop. It reminds me of David Lynch when he was asked in an interview about what his favorite textures to use in films are, and he said like dirt, flesh, oil, machinery, you know, and it's something that you can find in every video Jack's made if you look closely. It's a signature element that adds a lot of detail and fleshes out the world that his characters inhabit. Even though the videos might seem simple to someone who isn't familiar with making that style of video, I can tell you from experience of trying to emulate Jack Stauber's style in the second video of the series, that the stop motion elements and putting a bunch of different layers on top of each other is very, very, very involved. And I think that's the biggest, like when I've seen some people try to do Jack Stauber, and that is the thing that I most commonly see people miss, is they just make like one element that's moving around, as opposed to, he normally has at least three. He normally has some stuff on top of everything in the foreground, then the main video going on in between, and then a background with all different textures and flashing things, and it's really cool. Mirror, mirror. This one visually is one of the most impressive of Jack's shorter videos, and I think a big part of that is his attention to detail, especially at the very end. The video depicts a man watching a happier version of himself on the television, along with experiences that he wishes he could be having. But at the end, the song cuts out, and the whole world fades as the TV floods with water, leaving us in this oceanic darkness. Little paper fish can be seen floating by, then the man's face appears, horribly distorted, awfully detailed as he thrashes about and screams. But what really gets you is the sound design, the sound of the deep sea floor overwhelming the man's scream. Forget no one hearing you scream in space. No one can hear you scream deep underwater. And then prepare your mind for the inevitable thalassophobia. Did you know I made a whole video on thalassophobia? You should check it out if you didn't. For some reason, people didn't really vibe with that one, but I think it's good and you should go watch it. We see so much on TV, and also obviously devices nowadays, that try and convince us what life is supposed to look like. Good job, fall in love, kids, house, friends, vacations, loving family, whatever. But reality isn't like that for most people. Plus, I don't know, it kind of turns hollow when an ideal is being sold to you, almost like propaganda. Falling in love or not, wanting things, having hopes and dreams, that should come naturally and in our time, not theirs. To me, Mirror Mirror is a spiritual predecessor to Easy to Breathe, where someone is vicariously living off the television and finding their own life wanting in comparison. The ending, as the TV floods, is the overwhelming weight of wanting those perfect friendships, those perfect families, that perfect body, the need for perfection that destabilizes and corrodes almost every element of our culture and our well-being, and then we drown in our expectations of ourselves and of each other. But at least the song is catchy For real, it's a fantastic little ditty.
Mr. Backwards, look back at how he acts, he's a monster.
I've heard of having your head screwed on too tight, but this is just ridiculous. Mr. Backwards tells the tragic tale of a man described as a monster who tells you all the facts. Watch his movements as he listens to himself. He's hurting, but he's certain all is well. The song concludes with Jack saying, "Mr. Backwards, don't you know? You really want what you don't." And then the titular Mr. Backwards says something reversed, but with Daniel Profeta high-tech audio reversal machines, we were able to uncover what he was really saying.
Coffee in the morning, sleep at night. You look like a dream come true.
Huh. Interesting. I kind of empathize with Mr. Backwards. Mr. Backwards, do you mind if I just call you Ward? Okay, yeah. So Ward here is being called a monster and a crook, but by my calculations, he's just misunderstood. He, like most of us, if we're honest with ourselves, are filled with contradiction. What we want and what we don't want is not always going to be immediately evident, and our opinions and beliefs change and grow and as we learn and, you know, etc., etc. As Ward's body moves forward, his head constantly cranes back, desperate to regain a past that just doesn't exist anymore. Perhaps he regrets decisions that he's made, perhaps he finds a dull comfort in the poisonous nostalgia, and regardless of his motivations, he can't seem to see what is right in front of him. More importantly, he's definitely going to hit a wall at some point running like that, right? Ward's biggest problem is that he thinks he knows everything, so he only takes his own guidance. And when you look closer at his actions, you'll find his opinions suspect, subject to intense scrutiny. And just like Love Will, Mr. Backwards has pretty disturbing imagery. Quick rant for a second, but I was recently talking to someone my age who implied that Jack's work seems to be made for children, and they don't really understand why I would take the time to analyze nonsensical videos for kids. And I doubt many people on this video feel similarly with this person, but I still wanted to respond to that somehow because I've seen other people express similar sentiments. So buckle up, Sarah. Firstly, the implication is that because the videos are stop motion or animation, or just because you don't understand the music, that means that it was made with a child audience in mind. That's what you're trying to say. And then additionally, I think a lot of younger people got into these songs and videos a few years after they were released because these kinds of 20-second songs that sound like this with liminal and lo-fi imagery are very proto weirdcore aesthetic TikTok stuff, and they got absorbed into that subculture, which is really cool and helped lend Jack Stauber getting even more popular over the pandemic and in like 2020 and 2021. I think that's really cool. And none of that really matters all that much. Like, who cares how people came to find something as long as more people got to discover it? Just because it's an animation and has weird music doesn't automatically make it for children. In fact, I'd argue that this is a perception problem that a lot of people have. Is Perfect Blue for kids because it's animated? You know, is South Park or Rick and Morty or Watership Down? Is it impossible that adults make art that's not intentionally watered down for younger audiences through the medium of animation? I don't think so. I think that's totally possible. I think it happens all the time, and here are some examples of it. And when I see, especially when I see some of these videos that are really fucked up, I don't know. To say that they're just nonsense, that's just trying to be weird for the sake of being weird and is specifically catered towards an audience of like 5 to 10. I disagree very strongly. In my opinion, it's obvious that a lot of thought and intention goes into the creation of these pieces. And while obviously some of them are more lighthearted or whatever, I promise you something like Bumblebees are out, or even Rain wasn't made with the intention of appeasing an audience of kindergarten-age kids. Just because it's not full of cursing or whatever doesn't mean that it's a show for babies. Anyways, rant over, sorry. Thank you so much for being here, to everyone who's stuck around with the channel all this time, because yeah, we're about to start doing a lot, and I'm really excited about it. I think the next few videos you guys are really gonna like, and I think we're gonna have a lot of fun. So thank you for being here. Your like patience is being rewarded, because now I'm settled into the new space, and I've got all these ideas, and I'm really proud of where we've made it to, and I'm really excited to see where we go next. When I made that initial Jack Stauber analysis like 2.5 years ago, it changed my life in a lot of ways. And this is like the 5th video in the series now, not counting separate videos for Opal and Shop, a pop opera. So yeah, thanks for your interest and for listening to me ramble about stuff that I find interesting. Each like on this video equals 1 kidnapped dog being returned to their owner.
Anyways, I do love the coffee selection they have here. Truly can't get enough of it. I don't really drink it as much as other people, but I'll tell you, if I don't have a good cup in the morning, I'm not myself. Wait, is that clock right? Oh my god, I forgot to pick my son up from daycare. How in the hell did that happen? Goodness, I am so confused right now. That is wild. That is just... wow, they have hazelnut toffee light roast. I've never seen that before. Anyways, it's really nice to meet you. What'd you say your name was?
Is she on crack? How the hell is this what coffee did? Did you think it was over? Did you really believe that you wouldn't be dragged kicking and screaming back to the precipice's edge and be made to look out over the world? Your life flashes before your eyes. Do you have any regrets? What was that? You wish you'd been watching more Jack Stauber. I see. So your children mean nothing to you. Well, that's great. I will just throw them off the aforementioned cliff, and then you and I can go watch Shop together, against your will. Before he made Opal, what some consider to be his masterpiece, Jack Stauber created a series the likes of which Adult Swim had never seen before. One that combined his signature animation style with the lo-fi weirdcore music that we've all come to love so much, along with a sprinkling of absurdist, nonsensical humor, which resulted in a project that's weirdly wholesome, almost comforting, and honestly is one of my favorite things that Jack has made so far. But it feels super underrated too, so that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. The first huge thing that I want you to notice is a pretty significant tone shift from a lot of Jack's other creations, especially when compared to something like Opal. Shop, a pop opera is an example of my favorite kind of absurdism. Absurdism being the belief that a search for meaning is inherently in conflict to life's actual lack of meaning. But as humans, we should both accept this and simultaneously rebel against it by embracing the intricacies and the beauty of what life has to offer. This lack of inherent meaning in life is then something to almost rejoice in, not necessarily something to be depressed about. Absurdism as a concept is really fun, and something that I love about that mindset is how Shop and a lot of Jack's other works find the strange, the weird, the awe-inspiring, and just the general beauty within the mundane, within something as simple as just going grocery shopping. I'm a firm believer in the idea that life can get infinitely more interesting if you can pull yourself out of repetition and negativity and instead attempt to romanticize your life, despite how awful life can be. Like, what other appealing option is there? But I am getting off track rather quickly. Throughout this video, I'm obviously going to be analyzing and talking about Shop Pop Opera, so if you haven't already seen it, I highly recommend you do so before you watch this video. Links can be found below in the description. Go watch it Immediately, we open with a catchy little jingle that gets stuck in my head on a regular basis. We see living, singing grocery items that appear to have arrived directly out of the mouth of hell, which really just set the stage for all of the fun and wacky times we have ahead of us. The protagonist, who remains nameless throughout the series, is called Jeff. He has a bit of trouble deciding which yogurt, sherbet, sorbet, whatever, to sample, which seems mundane, but remember, everything has a purpose, even things that seem relatively unimportant, so just keep it in mind. He kind of wants to try them both, but ends up being so indecisive that he walks away, determined to come back later after he has more time to think about this life-changing decision. Jeff has a little checklist of groceries he must obtain from the store. Adorable. It's simple stuff, and the first one is milk. But before we can get milk, a random elderly lady shows up, and oh boy, that's quite a face on your face. All I do is worry and slave and defend you, and all I get back is that fucking face on your face. This woman is looking for some pecan cookies, and then Jeff has the interaction from whence I've assigned him his name.
I said pecan.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What are you, deaf?
I'm not deaf.
Huh?
I said I'm not deaf.
Nice to meet you, Jeff.
When Jeff goes to get the said cookies, the woman has vanished. Now, what's the most logical explanation here? That she just rolled away and we should all collectively forget about this experience? No, I think it's far more likely that Jeff is on signature blue methamphetamine and hallucinated not only the woman, but the demonic talking food items as well. I am the one who knocks. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I promise I'm kidding. I'm joking. Jeff tries to shake off the uneasy feeling and instead turns to the large refrigerator where they store the milk. He reaches in and grabs some, only to find that it has expired. Then he stares into the void and contemplates his own eventual expiration, leading us into the first of many incredibly funny, but also kind of deep musical numbers. I like to think that the entire idea for this came about when Jack was actually at some Whole Foods looking for milk when he saw something expired and just stopped and thought, damn, I'm gonna die someday. We're all gonna die someday. This existential track is about mortality, but uses dairy products to add a layer of humor and absurdism that takes the edge off of what is otherwise a fairly dark and sad song. What kind of milk were you? What kind of life did you live through? These are bars. We are asked to reflect on our own lives as though we had reached the end of them. Do you like what you see? Every life will eventually expire and fade to nothingness as the boots of time trample more unfortunate souls and lay more bloody fields barren. So, enjoy your life while you have it and live your life to the fullest. Early on, the wommies... The what? Earlier, the woman said she'd try the cookies another time, but she's gone now. And there will be no other time. She will never get to try the cookies. So the point is death, disease, destruction. Make like Thanos because it's all inevitable. So don't act out of fear. Live for the sake of living. Love for the sake of having loved. Eat the cookies. Enjoy yourself. Because you only get the one life. Also, there's an eye that cries a tear that turns into an udder that's being milked. So yeah, I hope your life drips rich with calcium, I guess. Jeff Mangum finds another carton of milk, this one not expired, and continues down the aisles on a new quest to find bread. He notices an expensive brand of pretentious artisanal bread, which lets me know this isn't actually a Whole Foods, it was Trader Joe's all along. Not that there's that massive of a difference between them. A walking potato enters the room to try and get some of this artisanal bread, and then he starts prattling on about how this bread is barely good enough for his well-bred canine.
Is it like good sandwich bread? Or?
This is for my dog. What? I get my bread from Ronzanto's.
He only buys bread for himself from this other, far more expensive place because that's the only edible bread in town. What a delightful cast of adorable characters we have here. The potato saunters off in a self-satisfied way, and Jeff is left to ponder the meaning of the word artisanal. And the next song is a reflection on what it would be like to live based on appearances and wealth. To judge and be judged by the size of your house or your car or the outward beauty of your spouse or the number of fake friends who secretly pray for your destruction or the designer clothes or even the organic 12-grain artisanal expensive bread you buy for your dog, which is different from reality. I just can't currently figure out exactly how. The lyrics also seem to be a bit of commentary on imposter syndrome and hey look, it's me, Daniel, making this video right now, never doing anything truly creative ever again and just commentating on other people's incredible art. Oh boy,
I have an album out that I recorded in my basement. If that means anything, you can find it on Bandcamp. Bye.
Jeff could be letting his possessions talk for him in a materialistic hellscape, but what will he do when inevitably he is left on his own again? Will he have forgotten how to speak for himself? The lesson here, of course, being that you should not care so much what other people think of you. And to take it even a step further, if the people that you manage to impress are like the potato, why would you even want to impress them at all? They're freaking insufferable. He picks up some basic Wonder Bread after all that introspection, and then he needs paper towels. A jar falls, breaks, and an employee comes to help clean it up, looking and sounding exactly like one of the goddamn South Park goth kids. Oh geez, are you okay?
Yeah.
You're bleeding.
Don't worry. It's just mine.
As we get to hear this accent, I want to take a moment to really appreciate how incredible it is that Jack himself is doing all of the voices. I mean, he does pretty much everything for this entire series all by himself. The glass cuts the custodian's hand and he doesn't even wince. He just says,
"Don't worry, it's just mine,"
implying that his blood doesn't have any value, which is funny because as a vampire myself, I have to disagree. You know what they say, spitters are quitters, don't ever waste a drop. Then the goth kid says,
"The glass shattered instantly, but it would take someone like you and me days, maybe weeks, to put it back together to how it was, and still, it will never be the same. Same with my finger, open in a second, but takes days to heal. And the more of them that you use, the bigger the mess you make. Darkness, no Paris."
This depressing monologue just adds to the overarching theme of overthinking and catastrophizing, which really should, if you can, you should try to eradicate it from every single part of your day-to-day existence like it's a weed. The thought of messes only further adds to the confusion in Jeff's mind, but at least there's not going to be any crazy songs or anything like that. This one is fairly straightforward in its messaging, mainly being that messes are not avoidable because humans learn through making mistakes. So instead of constantly worrying, you could just find a reusable and indestructible wash rack. And we're sure it's a good idea to mass produce those. I really like the lyrics of Mess, so I'm just gonna read them to you. Mess, it's irreversible, unraveling, unstoppable. How can I contain this non-stop, endless spreading bane? It's rolling out over time. Can I put a halt on mine? It's an infinite gain, but there's a break in the chain. Entropic irreversible remains. Process produces naturally. How does one handle callous entropy? I guess it's out of my hands. The universe will expand when nothing has a proper exit plan. To put it bluntly, bad things are going to happen despite your best laid plans. All you can really do is accept that as you move through life. As with a lot of Jack's work, this idea can be very useful to people struggling with mental illness, or even just people who have a hard time letting go. You might want everything to be perfect and everything to make you happy all of the time, but it really just doesn't work like that. Even if you had things constantly making you happy, eventually your body would kind of adapt and it would just be normal and it wouldn't be better, it would just be the same. There is a peace in accepting the chaos sometimes, because it's impossible to control everything, but you can, however, control your vibrator, which I find to be pretty legit stress relief. Well, okay, hold on. Not me specific. Random fact, but the callous entropy portion of the song is the only full body appearance of Jack throughout the entire miniseries. Hello there, Jack. Jeff continues his hero's journey of mundane portions, now seeking oatmeal. And before he even begins to finish revealing this exciting new turn of events, he gets interrupted by a man with patented Daniel posture, asking him to quickly move out of the way. The man exasperatedly explains that simply by wasting time talking to Jeff, all his planned out time management is being ruined. For example, he says he won't be able to get peas, and if he doesn't get peas, then he won't have peas with his food, and he's having a lot of difficulty making peas with that. I am so sorry. He goes on to imply that if it were possible, he'd plan out every single minute of every single day. He says the human body is like a clock, and hold on, how long has he spent talking to Jeff Winger? As he tries to leave, Jeff questions why he doesn't plan for mistakes or accidents. And the man says he's been meaning to, but hasn't found the time. Almost seems like he spends more time planning than actually living. He speeds away in an anxious rush, seemingly very annoyed. Completely unfazed, Jeff sees a large box of oatmeal and begins another existential crisis about time management. Basically, he could just eat oatmeal for the rest of his life from such large quantities, and it's so cheap. Wouldn't it save time and increase his efficiency, not having to make that decision every day? The same routine. And we enter a song called Oatmeal, but the oatmeal, like everything, is a metaphor. I'm gonna level with you. This song actually affected me in a weird way. The beginning is about routine and how you can become a slave to repetition, which, fair enough. We even question whether routine is human or not. But the conclusion of the track is what throws me for a loop. It's chaotic and has a very negative sound to the music. As we hear the words, "molded in my ways, how would I change? Disaster, routineless, I adapt to chaos faster. No master." And now I personally kind of agree with that sentiment. If you can reach out to embrace the random, reach out to embrace whatever may come, that could be construed as a good thing. Who needs routines? Won't they grow stagnant over time? I go crazy over just small routines, man. But the way the music is structured is very abrasive, and it's a negative thing. And I can't help but wonder if maybe this is supposed to be too far in the other direction. Are we just setting ourselves up for failure by eschewing plans completely? But thankfully, Jeff has a solution. He simply chooses a smaller bag of oatmeal with a surprise flavor, and I'm going to interpret that as finding a happy medium between the plans and the surprise. Something which is hard for me to do, personally. I find it very difficult to find balance. I'm always teetering toward one extreme or the other. It's always one end of the spectrum or the other, which can be harmful, I think. And it's, I don't know, the song's a good reminder that things are not always black and white. The man we saw before becomes nothing but a dark memory of what happens when you plan so much that you forget to live. All right, kids, gather round, because it's time to learn about addiction. Jeff is in awe that no one is around to rudely interrupt him while he's trying to make his selections and go about his search. And he sees that the next item on his list is coffee. And then, suddenly, as if by magic, a lady appears before him, caffeinated out of her mind and speaking 1,000 words a second. She talks about how incredibly important coffee is to her and what a wonderful life she leads thanks to coffee. She can stay awake for days with no side effects. Well, wait, she's She's asleep. Jeff gingerly lifts her cup to her mouth and makes her take a sip, and she's immediately back at it again, rambling excitedly about how she's forgotten her child at daycare. Ha ha ha! Classic mom mistake. You know, when you forget to pick up your kids for hours. Trust us, it's a classic mom thing. Jack Stauber would know. He's been getting his mama. As the lady walks away, we distinctly hear her say she needs coffee. And Jeff ponders that word, need, letting it roll around in his head for a while before we break into song with Coffee, the most straightforward track in the entire video. Using coffee as an easy-to-grasp metaphor, Jeff grapples with addictive substances or activities as he questions if they're good for him or not. Does he really need it to survive? Does he have himself under control? If he completely lost himself to an addictive substance, would he even realize that it had happened? Throughout the song, there is a secondary voice whispering seductively into Jeff's ear, which is portrayed as a talking coffee mug in the video. The coffee mug represents his coffee addiction and how it tries to reel him back in, trying to convince him to take a sip. It's just the flavor he wants. And the song ends kind of depressingly, that it feels better to check than to reflect, kind of implying that he continues chasing that high because it feels better. It's almost him disregarding his epiphany. And I don't know, maybe it's still just a conflict in his brain, I have no idea, but when I hear that song on its own, the ending is negative to me. Anyways, doesn't matter, he takes decaf. The last thing on the list is cheese. Okay. That should be simple enough. Oh. And now, a dark walk through the 5 aisles of grief. Okay, so the next song is basically just cheese puns, and I love them so much that we are going to read them all. This can't breathe. There's more cheese to choose than I can see. You've gotta be kidding me. I can't make these decisions on my provolone. If I act better, could someone else select my cheddar? Or are these blues permanent? I'll be okay. I'll look away and let the universe say. And now we get to the crucial moment of the entire short. Up until this point, we've seen recurring themes of accepting chaos, change, and transforming insecurity into more flexibility. But here, he learns something new. A balance, if you will. He closes his eyes and lets the universe decide for him, only to realize he's now selected a dairy-free maple coconut water cheese. Again, very Trader Joe's. Holy shit.
2 women face-to-face, toe-to-toe at the freezer of a Trader Joe's here in New York, fighting over the last box of frozen tofu.
He is visibly disappointed and says, "Aw, I could have picked something better." And then he reacts as though struck by lightning. Every milk will expire, so toss your oatmeal and eat something new. Coffee moderation, life is messy, and your bread isn't you. And I trust that I could pick something better. Instead of meandering through life accepting the will of the universe, get to know yourself and then take responsibility and be confident in the decisions that you make. Sometimes you'll make mistakes, but you know what you want better than anyone. He runs joyously back to the frozen yogurt stand and asks to try the strawberry, and it's one of the greatest things he's ever tasted. And then in a final bit of hilarity, he asks the stand operator if he could pretty please try the other flavor, and is immediately shot down. 2 roads diverged in a yellowed wood, and sorry I could not travel both. I once had that whole poem memorized. And that's Shop, a pop opera. One thing you might have missed is that every character Jeff encounters is shaped vaguely like the food item they are associated with, so that's fun. I called him a potato, and yet he is bread. I love spreading misinformation. I've still got something to say, so bear with me, but first, each like on this video equals 1 more month that the carton of milk that Jack Stauber himself gifted to me doesn't expire. And, okay, that's not true. It was all a scam, perpetrated by Big Milk to keep you filled with milk. Fill your children with milk. You want strong bones? Milk. When I made the original pop opera video, it got rushed because it had a sponsor and it had a really strict deadline. The sponsor then weirdly tried to screw me over after the video went live. And anyways, while I would love to have sponsorships on here, a lot of people that I've been meeting recently, other like YouTubers, have been telling me that that's like the main way they're able to afford to do this job, which makes a lot of sense now that I understand more about how YouTube works. Honestly, I would prefer to build up the Patreon page to a point where it's basically the same as getting one sponsorship a month or something like that. So if you want to help me keep employing the editors that I have, you should join the Patreon. There's some cool behind the scenes stuff, and right now it's making about $100 a month, and it costs around $200 to produce a video, like on average. So here's hoping that I can eventually fund one video a month. That's my goal. And yeah, no matter who you are, thank you for being here. I am very grateful to be in a position where I can be weird on the internet as my job. I really like the community that's grown around this channel. When I was growing up, I didn't really have a lot of friends, and I had a lot of like interests that I didn't feel, I don't know, comfortable talking about. And it's just really kind of surreal and kind of, I don't know, wholesome to me in some capacity that now it's like I have thousands of internet people who engage with me in the things that I'm interested in. So I don't know. I hope you're entertained. I hope you like it, and I hope you have a fantastic week. Thank you so much for watching. As always, we are Legion, and I will see you in the next transmission.